Is it some devil that crawls inside of you?
Oh my God. Hello, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Bad Etiquette Podcast. I'm your host, Alice Bronson. Remy the dog is sleeping on my bed, farting into the wind, and I am joined by the lovely Angelina La Pointe. Hi.
Hey.
How you doing?
Sup?
I'm so stoked to have someone here. It's been a while, especially a stranger.
Woo. Yeah, I've been in my house by myself for the last, however many months it is.
It's been
uncounted months.
Did you like the beginning of the pandemic? Like when shit was like toilet paper disaster shutting down?
No, I mean, I don't. I have little patience for general stupidity, so it was a little difficult.
This is the
me.
wrong show for you.
I did like, working from home. That was great.
Yeah.
But I have anxiety problems, and I didn't realize that being by myself all the time was going to magnify all of the bad shit that I say about myself in my head is I
have to face these anxiety problems.
There is something about going out into the world and just having normal interactions with people. There was a point about a month in where because I'm an introvert, mm-hmm. I was cool, I'm cool. I just do the things that at the beginning of the pandemic, it was kind of funny. If you are a solitary introvert who stays at home and does crafts and other little super time consuming solitary activities
mm-hmm.
like me,
mm-hmm.
There was hey, I did that before it was cool, mm-hmm. you guys.
Isn't that
reaction
funny?
to the social media. I'm yeah, I baked bread 15 years ago, you guys.
Well, banana bread's
get your
new to
shit
you.
handled. Yeah. So there was a little bit of a backlash for me. It's well, my life hasn't changed all that much, except I don't go to work. But then the lack of live shows started to hit me, and I was oh my God. This is the longest that I have not been on a stage for probably 20 years.
I've heard so much of that just from comedians where they're I have never taken this long of a break in 20, 30 years.
And I know I am a comedy podcast nerd of the highest degree.
Beautiful. So you know.
So I know. But yeah, I think a lot of people go into comedy as a coping mechanism for their mental health, and they need to get on stage and get that whatever it is in their system that caused them to be a comedian, to get through the punishment and also perform themselves that way. Mm-hmm. Whatever they needed to get, whatever they use that for in their life.
I'm just an attention whore. I needed it. It's gone.
Yeah, I'm this is showmanship is that's the thing. You just put a face on it so that you can have that sort of attention seeking thing mm-hmm. in a particular environment. But I think also there's the attention whore nature of it, but then there's also the process based nature of it. What happens when you're a comedian? I'm not a comedian, I don't know, but is that it's something that you're making with the audience.
Yeah, you need their reaction. You need them to say, "Hey, that was dog shit. Don't say that again." Or, "Oh, that was edgy." They really are your barometer for your. That's how you work stuff out. Yeah.
In the same way that I don't 2 months into lockdown or something, I was do I have a face? I don't know if I can interact with I started to come unconnected from my personality. I'm shit. And now anytime I see a person, I'm oh God, there's gonna be verbal diarrhea.
I know. So. I don't even know what to say to people anymore. How have you been? I'm I don't fucking know. You don't look at my Instagram, dude. Just leave me alone. I don't know. I have no answer for you anymore. I got a little fatter, and I cut my hair because I was fat and long hair. Horrible combo. Looking like a slob. So I don't know what to tell you guys.
You're well, it's day to day, man. Some days are better than others.
The beginning of the pandemic was heaven. March, April. Holy shit. I could do that all over again. I ate Pop-Tarts, did yoga, binge watched TV shows, and drank every day for 70 days. It was The drinking wasn't the good part, but
Yeah,
at
I guess
first, it was
I
amazing.
tried to be normal, tried to maintain some like semblance of order
Yeah.
at the beginning for myself. I'm like, okay, well, I gotta like keep a routine and like
Mm-hmm.
get dressed every day and not eat crap and da 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 da. And then like month in, that was just completely out the window.
I stayed out of my room. I wasn't even. I was downstairs, TV, the whole time. Coors, beer, and Oreos and Pop-Tarts, and having no fucking idea what time it was. And it was raining, so it was like
jealous.
easy to just seal yourself inside because it was so cozy.
Yeah, like feels like a weekend or like the day that you say like I'm gonna let the world fuck off today. But then you get to the point where it's like crap. I still like have shit to do, and there's no like being self-regulating. I think is the hardest thing about it. It's like
It's
you have
so
no
hard.
like there's no dates on the calendar or whatever. Like
Showers don't mean as much.
yeah, you're like oh well, I probably could have one.
Like I might just feel good. Maybe I should. Maybe I should
Yeah.
fucking wash this sadness off. I don't even know I have.
It's a snore. But yeah, and then a couple of years ago we had a house fire, and like we woke up in the middle of the night and our house was on fire.
Yeah.
That's shitty.
That's terrifying. I've never had that happen yet.
Yeah, it's a pretty. I don't want that to happen to anyone. No one should have to go through that. But
Should you?
I've been a person who has had like depression and anxiety my entire life, but that experience set me up with some like extra classic PTSD.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You're like,
yeah,
I'm milking this
we
one.
got the stuff. Like I'm not sleeping. I'm waking up in the middle of the night. Like my fight, flight, or freeze responses are all going. And so I had really like pandemic hit about 3 years after that, and I was like, I am starting to feel like a normal person again. This is awesome. And then stuck in my house by myself, all my anxiety stuff just came like screaming back in. Like I don't know if you have any anxiety problems, but
I mean, anxiety is always a problem.
yes, but
What are you saying?
like the thing where your body is giving you signals that don't respond to the stimulus, and like I was just that's something that's just weird, like weirdly difficult for me to self-regulate while I'm by myself all the time.
Okay. Do you usually need like people around to kind of regulate it, help you regulate
I
it?
didn't know that I did, but apparently I do.
Well, I don't even think it's necessarily not to dismiss you having that, but I think people in general need people around to kind of exercise their socialization. Like they just need to have some sort of fucking exercise, be normal,
it's never
communicate.
something that came naturally to me. Like I was always like a quiet kid and all that stuff. So like I feel like it's something that I have to practice maybe more than other people do. Like people where like those social situations come more naturally.
It definitely comes easier for some people.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it comes easy for me at all. I think I'm usually terrified until I can make someone laugh. So the quickest thing to make them laugh is jumping into the conversation, anxiety or not.
The quickest route to a laugh so that the ice is broken.
Should I make
so
fun
that
of
you
them
can
or
move on.
me? Just how am I gonna fuck
Like, how
this
are we doing
situation
this?
up?
You got to give them a real quick read. Like,
Yeah.
can they take it? Okay,
Yeah.
no, it's on me.
Yeah. Oh, if they can't take it, I just write them off anyway. I'm like, wow, I didn't know you were a fucking pussy.
great.
All right,
Yeah.
going over to a new crowd. I'll do things where I'll jump into arguments that people don't know we're having, and I'll cut them off, and I'll go, you know what? You know where that word comes from? Because the word pussy came up just now. I jumped down my girlfriend's throat one time because she started to say something about like, oh, that's so ridiculous. How, I don't know. She tried to equate. I'm totally butchering this. She's going to be like texting me like, that's not what I fucking said, asshole. But in other words, let me slow it down here. Let me articulate.
I was going to pitch in, but the thing that I had to say was about my partner, and I have promised myself that I wouldn't tell stories about him on the internet. So
Yeah.
I can't save you because
Then stay over there. Zip it, lady. I got this covered. It's my show. Here we go. Okay. Yeah. Let me mansplain something to you. All right.
okay, I can lady-splain some shit to you too.
All right.
Turnabout is fair play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think she was just trying. I assumed she was gonna say, "Oh, that's ridiculous that like pussy is equated as something weak. Women are strong. Like vaginas, those are really strong things, general organs. And I was like, she didn't get any of that out, but in my head, she said all of that Tumblr shit right to my face. And I already had like a file open. I was like, I'm in the same file cabinet. We're doing this. Jumped down her throat. And I was like, that word comes from pussy cat. Like cat, they're scaredy cat. So that's why they call people pussies. And then someone along the lines just started blurring the fucking lines. And now if you're a woman, you're a pussy. If you're a guy, you're a pussy. If you're a feminine guy, you're a pussy. You're not a scaredy cat. They forgot. Pussy lost its way. So pussy power is what I'm saying. I defend the word.
I'm a huge fan of colloquialisms and like esoteric language. I'm like a huge fan. So like
you can say the word colloquialisms that easily. So.
I understand that. Like I understand why people get mad, and that you need to know, like, be a little bit aware of what you're doing with language, and be cognizant of the fact that something you're saying could offend someone, or that your opinions are flavored by your perspective, and so like it's important to know what language is appropriate for talking about someone, particularly someone that's different than you. But there's just so much like fun shit. Like I'm a ain't gonna mama songwriter, so like that kind of stuff, and like just there's so much, like language is fun and it's always evolving, and so like
you just gotta breathe with it. Let it pulsate.
I get the Tumblr deal, I do, but like I understand both perspectives, and like I think that
so you're normal is what you're saying.
I'm normal.
Sorry.
I guess so. No, I feel like I'm excessively attached to saying things in the most roundabout way possible, using really weird words that no one understands.
Like I got this covered. You won't understand it, but I'll feel better about the whole situation. Just let me spit this at you.
There will be 20-minute notes so that you understand how I put something. But
that's good. Mm-hmm. I like someone who is willing to go into detail about the way they feel about things, because most people are so vague, and then just out of nowhere they'll jump down your throat for the way you talk or the way you communicate, and then they're like I draw the line at someone telling someone else how to live. Like I get that you don't like how I talk, but I've also always spoke this way. Not that I can't improve, adjust, and grow, but you're not going to change like the delivery system.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between saying, hey, I feel this way about what you said.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, you need to do XYZ.
Yeah.
And
you can't do this. You have to do this. You need to do this.
Yeah. And so it's just about how you approach what you're asking people to do. It's like, hey, think about me in this perspective.
And I have to keep an open mind, because I know that maybe they do mean the kinder way. They just aren't saying it that way. Because oftentimes I'll jump down people's throats for jumping down other people's throats, so to speak, where they're trying to control the way people live their lives, and they're using very absolute language.
Yeah, and I think we are in a time of soundbite culture where like everything has to be able to be like condensed down to like a sentence, and that is the rallying cry of the thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas it's like I could talk about something I care about on a podcast for 3 hours and still not like completely get all my ideas and thinking and like internal contradictions and stuff about a topic out. Like you
to contradict is human.
Yes, and self-contradiction is part of growth, but you need to be aware of it. Like if you're like, okay, wow, like it's like if you call yourself out on your bullshit, then other people don't have a chance to do it first. That's
the beauty of having this podcast, is I can hear the fucking foot going into my mouth, and then I can tell you how it tastes. You're
like, foot.
You're like, listen, this toenails always look like that. I want you to know I know that too.
Wow.
I got too deep in that metaphor. I don't know. I hope there's no foot fetishists that are like cranking the volume up. Like, tell me more.
I was just thinking about like quarantine pedicures and how I haven't seen my feet, and I don't even. Yeah, I'm just not going there.
You're not going there. You almost went there.
Shift.
Topic shift? We can shift the topic. Well, thank you for telling me how your quarantine was, or your pandemic began. Whew. That was fun. It felt good to get some of those things out. You may not have
A good
been able to
quality
tell.
pandemic bitch.
Yeah. Fucking A. That's really what this show is just me bitching and bitching at people for being bitchy.
Cool.
Just like, what are you people complaining on the internet? Like, I have my own show. At least I have a platform. There's some respect to how I do it.
I want to complain long form. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. That's really what this is. I mean, I tried to start it as like a way to hang out with my friends because I was always so busy. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, we're not hanging out. Fuck. Okay.
Yeah. Do you feel weirdly obligated to like try to schedule time to do nothing with friends? I feel like that's the worst.
Like, just to hang?
Yeah. So I am really bad at like planning to do nothing in any context. So like I'm always like, hey, I've got this thing that I'm working on and I want you to come help me with this thing. But then also I wonder if I'm like using people for content. I was
gonna say, do you feel like you're just piling on, like giving them like, oh hey, I think, you know what? I was gonna say maybe that's just part of the human condition, but I think it's kind of like you said, like it's a soundbite culture. I think so many people are like, well, if we're not hustling and providing something for the internet to look at, clearly we're not doing enough. Because it's a strange way people find excuses to live a life that they can document instead of living a life that they can just hang out and do nothing.
Yes, but I have never been a person who hung out and did nothing. So it's kind of like everyone's getting on board with my vibe. Okay. So I'm like, we all have hustle now.
Yeah. Well, I know. It's funny because I've always done nothing. I was very lazy, unproductive. I didn't
see. Yeah. I'm kind of jealous of that. Like I'm learning to do nothing.
Well, see, I'm jealous because I don't have much to show for it. It took me years to be like, maybe I should, do some sit-ups. Damn it.
Do something. Yeah. No, I'm, completely unabashed overachiever. And
I'm a lazy procrastinator.
Pinup modeling. I do visual art and I have a band. And there was a long time when people just assumed I was going to pick music or art because those are both
was it the color of your hair?
Full-time passions. Well, that's
back then, or is that new?
That's new. I had like an afro in the
really?
early. Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, afros belong on everyone.
Well, I definitely had I want to look like a guy from a band in the 70s kind of thing happening cool. When I was a teenager.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was in a very awkward but awesome band with Jacob Cole on guitar and
what was it called?
A couple of other fabulous folks. Escapist.
That's the name of a skate shop. You know that?
Yes, I
you
did. In retrospect, it wasn't at the time. I don't think. Maybe it was.
How long ago was this band? Escapist isn't that old or new?
New? Yeah. I mean, we were.
I can't believe you knew that.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta Google your shit, man.
That's so true, dude. You know how many times I was like, all right, Dallas Bronson show isn't working. We gotta.
So, my band, The Luck, we were for a long time, me and Anna as a duo. We renamed our band because at the time that we named our band The Luck, like 2010 or something, there was another band in the UK called The Luck who had a Facebook page. But they didn't have any albums out. They didn't have any stuff. We're like, we're cool, right?
Yeah.
And then, pan to 8 years later, and we're about to put out an album. We're like, okay, these guys beat us to all of this stuff. We need to change our name. And it was sort of a natural break in the project anyway, because we were bringing other musicians in and moving stuff around, and we kind of we're changing the focus of the project. So it's like, okay, it might be a good time to rename the band anyway, but we kind of had to because, and then there were so many names that I wanted that were already taken. Like,
do you remember any?
I would love to have a band called Earhart. Like that would be so cool.
Like Amelia Earhart?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I love, I'm kind of obsessed with like, anti-heroes and like
you're on the right show. You are on the right
creatures.
Show. Yeah.
So like Amelia Earhart, DB Cooper, like all those people, like
DB
I
Cooper,
love that
fucking
shit.
A.
Yeah. So Everett Roos. Do you know who he is?
It sounds familiar. I know that name. Absolutely.
So he was super young in California during mining times, and
okay. All ringing a bell.
He traveled around on foot, and he made these amazing woodcuts and paintings and stuff, and he sent them home to his family, and then he disappeared.
Oh shit!
And no one fucking knows what happened to him. Like they've thought that they've, like DB Cooper, they've thought that they've found him a couple of times, and it hasn't been. But yeah, Everett Roos. There's an amazing song by.
I can tell you what happened to him right now.
Yeah.
He had some gold. Someone's like, I'm gonna fucking take that gold. This is mine now.
Yeah,
and you're
just
getting
biffed him over the head, or he fell down into a ravine or something.
Yeah, he got ate by a bear. It's like, this gold's right next to my salmon, bitch.
Yeah. But there's a great Americana song about him by Dave Alvin that's super cool. So it's like exactly my jam because it's a super dense storytelling Americana song.
Good. You know what? And I had no idea that that's the kind of music. Go ahead. You're like, I'm not finished, Alice.
It's about a famous disappeared guy that no one knows. So I'm like, this is the best. It's the best.
Fuck yeah. Oh, I had no idea really what kind of music your band Angie and the Nightmares was, and I listened to everything on the Bandcamp last night, and I was like, holy shit, this is great.
Cool.
I was pleasantly surprised.
What do you like?
I like a lot of shit. I don't like music that doesn't have instruments though. So if it's like pop music, synth, a lot of synth heavy music, usually don't care for. I like cool. I like distortion.
Actually, it was a little bit more of a self-serving question. What do you like about my music?
I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. Lyrical content's great. The storytelling aspect to it. Just the music in general. I'm really not much of a fucking connoisseur of music by any means, so I couldn't even tell you something like identifying.
It's just interesting to get like a cold read.
Well, I was just gonna say I have a question. I was like, what is how would a person ideally enjoy your music? Like, what kind of feedback from someone would be like perfect?
So what you just said is exactly what I'm after. The story.
Okay.
And the difference between storytelling has always been my focus, but I understand that not everyone relates to music that way.
Yeah.
Like you kind of are a story person or you aren't a story person.
I know. How many pop songs have stories anymore?
Well, and the thing that bothers me is that choruses and verses don't match. They took something that sounded really cool and then they just kind of shoehorned it in there, and it drives me insane. Like there needs to... I don't care how abstract a narrative is or if it's like really vague or weird. Like I love that kind of thing because I'm completely incapable of doing it. Like
I love when I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
I'm like, what?
In a song.
What? And
you have to try to understand it.
And I feel like I will never be that kind of songwriter. Like maybe I'm more opaque than I think, but for me, it's like, oh, it's dead obvious exactly what I'm talking about here.
Maybe just like take a fucking edible and then make no sense.
No, I still couldn't do it. It would be like some kind of narrative about the experience that I was having.
That's good. That's so cool though, because some of my favorite songwriters in general, just the storytelling aspect to it really is. The song is about something. You wrote something. There's it's either non-linear or linear, and the narrative is so important. Like my favorite musician, Nick Cave. All of his songs are stories. Yeah. The Vegas songs are just that fucking. Can you hear that garbage truck, everyone? Sorry, I left my window open. I guess today's trash day. Even his vague songs, he tells them in a storytelling way where I'm like, there's clearly a beginning and end to this, and I'm in it. I need to know. I'll go back. I'll read the lyrics. Like that's something I really like about music. With a story is like I need to know how to understand this movie, this song, whatever this is. So I gotta really pay attention.
You're like, get the thing.
It demands your attention.
Yeah, and I like that kind of thing. And so that would be, the ultimate thing for me. Sorry, re-ask your question so that I can actually answer it and not ramble the fuck out.
Yeah, well, I think my question was, how would someone ideally... Hold on, wait for this cocksucker to drive by. He's actually a sweet guy. How would you ideally have a person enjoy your music? What would their feedback be?
Well, there's kind of two aspects to that. There's like interacting with the recordings, like listening to the story, like really engaging with that, and then enjoying a live show. And we're really working towards trying to get like, because I'm so story driven, I'm trying to do things like I thought it was going to get quieter. It just keeps getting louder.
He came back. He's like, oh, I forgot to ruin another minute of the podcast.
Doing the other side of the street. My like recent thing that I'm working on improving is making my my storytelling a little more like easy to understand. So sometimes why use one word when 10 words will do?
Yeah.
And so there are places where I need to simplify, repeat myself, make things a little more hooky to get people who aren't like immediately lyrically engaged into the story a little more.
Okay.
And the same, like, and that is specifically for live performance, because it's like, or telling a story at the beginning of the song
and then doing the song.
Is a way that you can get people to engage with it.
But then you're slowing the momentum of the show down.
Yes and no, but it's like we're like, this is a song about teenage sex, and then you do it, and like that, like it gives people an excuse to listen. Like part of the reason I'm on podcasts right now is like to try to get people to care about what I'm like, the stories that I'm telling in my songs.
And that was a question I was going to ask. What are the stories behind these songs? Because just reading the lyrics, I obviously have no context, but it's just one of those things. Like, I need to know. I have the fucking chance to sit down and talk to you. Did you write the lyrics? Who wrote most of the lyrics? Did you sing on every song? What was the,
I do write most of the lyrics most of the time. Like everything that's recorded out there is my lyrics. Some of the music was written by other band members at this point. And probably our next record will have music and lyrics written by other band members because we have new people and stuff is changing around a little bit. But yeah, the thing I'm learning to do recently is like lyrics and story and front person stuff is my deal.
Yeah.
Everything else I can like let other people do because they're better at it than me, like things like arranging or
Angie, don't get in the way. We have arrangements to do.
Right. But also like there was a part of me that like wants to do everything myself and like have control over every little aspect of something. And so it's like we have all agreed that story is my department and everything else like is allowed to be a little more fluid.
Do you write the lyrics before you write the songs?
Generally, yes.
Wow.
Like
Bold.
I have been a commuter for big chunks of my life, which is something that I don't have right now.
Yeah.
And so I will be like driving and I will think about like I love like observational comedy as a concept. And so a lot of my music is kind of like, I think it comes from that same place, like where you're like, like you see people interact in a way and you see a thing happen, or I will often notice an emotional reaction to a situation in myself and be like, that's interesting. Yeah. And then kind of like take that observation home with me and like explode it out into a whole story. So it's like, I'm like, oh, I saw this thing happen, or like this one.
You don't pull over and have to write it down or anything?
For a while, I didn't write anything down until it was finished because it was a rule for myself that if I couldn't remember it, it wasn't good enough.
That's so funny because that's not true.
But now, I have to learn a bunch of new stuff for a bunch of other things I'm doing in my life right now, and I don't trust myself to remember. But for a while, I was like, no. Like, if I can't remember it, it's not good enough. Like,
but your body doesn't care about, like, your mind, like, it doesn't care about your artistic endeavors. You have to write these things down. You know, when someone says, oh, I forgot, it must not have been important. It's like, no, your brain your body just wants to go eat fuck and sleep. Like there's
some background information
Please.
that gives you context for this particular thing.
Okay.
Is that me and my dad specifically, like we grew up playing music together and stuff.
Wow.
And
that's cool.
we both have a brain that anything that rhymes will be stuck in there forever, just for fucking ever. So like my dad and I could sit down and tag team entire Dr. Seuss books.
That's so cool.
Like we could just lay them out.
That's awesome.
But it's because our brains work that way, so that anything that rhymes is gonna get like permanently stuck in your head.
Big disclaimer. I am no neuroscientist or anthropologist. I don't know how people work. I just assume that your brain does not care about your artistic endeavors.
Well, like
that's
specifically, like from a neuroscience perspective, there are some things about songs that, like, there is a part of your brain that decides whether something is important enough for you to remember and stick into your long-term memory. And I believe, not a neuroscientist, but I believe it's a subconscious thing. So like your brain is deciding that, but songs specifically circumvent that part of your brain. Like you have no choice as to whether or not to remember them.
Wait.
Yeah.
Say that slower for my stupid head. It's big. There's nothing in there.
So there's a part of your brain that decides what to keep and what to throw out.
Okay. But what is the song part do?
Right. So that process, deciding what to keep and deciding what to throw out, does not apply to songs.
So they just
go directly to the long-term storage.
So if you've heard a song before, you go, oh, I've fucking heard this song before.
Yeah. Like, I mean, some of them are hookier than others.
Yeah.
And there's specific things that you can use to trigger that.
Like what?
So, like repeating words immediately after each other is something that does that. And then also setting up a pattern and then subverting that pattern.
Okay.
So, oh God, what's his name? Little Howard and Big Howard. Do you know who they are?
No.
Super weird British comedic team with quotation marks around it.
Okay.
So Big Howard is a dude and Little Howard is a cartoon. And Little Howard is a comedian, and he gets controlled by Big Howard when they perform. So they do songs and stuff. They had a TV show, British TV. So basically, it's this little kid who's animated, and then he has the voice of a very crusty adult. Yeah. It's fabulous. It's great. But they have a song called Haberdashery.
Nice.
And it specifically does this thing where it's like you set up a pattern. He just repeats a bunch of nonsense words, and it's like one word, different word, back to the first word, one word, and then like it changes every time. And so like they set up a pattern and then they screw with that pattern. Okay. And the function of that song specifically is to get fucking stuck in your head, because
those motherfuckers.
And it's super annoying. Like look it up at your own peril. Little Howard, Haberdashery, but that is its function. And
I know that I'm gonna think about this song until I listen to it, and both options are stuck in my head now.
It has the word GNU in it. GNU. Like the, I'm doing a hand gesture. Wildebeest type dude.
Huh.
Yeah. So anyway.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's a picture in the video on YouTube. You will know after you watch the video.
Oh my God. I'm already mad at you. Okay.
But like this kind of thing is I can't remember how we got into this stuff getting stuck in your head narrative. So
not remembering shit.
So
isn't that interesting?
Stuff like this is, you did very nice.
Woo, Remy.
Podcast for the win. But so specifically, like stuff like that, I say specifically a lot. I was just editing video of myself talking. I'm like, crap.
You say pacifically instead?
No, I don't.
Specific?
I don't. Specifically.
I have tried to completely reform myself of my grammar Nazi ways, because I realized, much like with colloquialisms, if the intent is clear and I know what word you meant to say, I don't even need to fucking correct you.
Yeah.
But my girlfriend does not believe in this. She does not let a single sentence of mine get through without making fun of me. She's like, did you just say absolutely? Like, like there's nothing that gets past her. So I've learned that, like, oh wow, I was an asshole. I couldn't let anyone speak. I need to let them just say things.
Sometimes you care, sometimes you don't care, and there's a point where you just
yeah.
let
If
it
you
go.
say the word so wrong, it changes the function of the sentence because you said the different word. I'll put my hand in your face.
And then
Stop.
I think there
We're
are
stopping
people
you there.
who read a lot more than they talk, and they just don't know how to say shit.
Well, and that's another thing. Have you read that? Oh, if you've learned how to pronounce a word by reading it instead of just learning the word, that it's not incorrect. It's actually like a more respectable way. Like I would never be like, oh, you say patronize instead of patronize, and you mean the other. Different pronunciations. They're said the fucking totally different way. It's spelled the same. I'm not going to get mad at you. I know what you mean. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Sorry,
I do.
that was annoying. I know what you mean. You know what I mean?
I do.
Okay. I love words. I would get wordplay tattooed on my knuckles if I could bear to get tattoos anymore.
Hand tattoos are such a long-term commitment to you. You got to maintain them.
But I like that you can just like get them rubbed off from living life. It's a cool look.
They don't rub off evenly though. I'm a total tattoo snob. Please forgive.
That's fine. I know someone who's really angry at you listening to this. I think my girlfriend has like 5 finger tattoos.
As long as she gets them touched up periodically.
She got them touched up, but honestly, I've
time.
never seen someone's tattoos on their hands stay as much as hers.
Nice.
So I don't know what she's doing, but I think she's fucking getting them touched up like on the low, on the DL.
I know. I was just about to get some, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't commit to going in every year for the rest of my life because they will bother me if they break down. So.
Yeah, I've walked into many tattoo shops and brought up finger tattoos. They've all said the same thing. Like, this is a high traffic area. They basically talked me out of getting them. So like, cool. Well, bye. I'm done. I don't need your tattoo. I don't think I'm gonna get any more tattoos. I think I got way too many, way too soon, and I don't like any of them.
I'm sorry.
I like them, but I don't like that they're on me.
I guess the question is, like, do you understand where you were coming from? Like, the thing that I always think about when I get a new tattoo or I'm thinking about one is, like, will future me be compassionate to present me and my reasons for getting this tattoo?
They're almost all music tattoos, and I am not musical. I just liked it.
Music fandom tattoos?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I understand the regret.
A Cure tattoo, an AC/DC tattoo, a Misfits tattoo, a Ramones tattoo.
It hurts me so badly.
I look like what is it, like the most basic, like Rockabilly.com, like all the t-shirts on the front. I have all those tattooed somewhere on my body.
That makes me like perversely happy, but I also feel slightly sorry for you.
Yeah, right? It's just kind of like, I always have to look at it. And it's the tattoos that don't mean shit, like have nothing behind them. People like, I'm like, thank you. I don't know. I don't want to talk about tattoos anymore.
Okay.
That was literally just me being self-indulgent.
Let's stop.
Yeah.
I was just making fun of you for music related tattoos, and I realized I have Johnny Cash lyrics tattooed on my feet. So
those are cool. I would get Johnny Cash lyrics. He's immortalized. He's dead. He's not gonna fuck up, and we're not gonna find out he was like diddling kids or something. Like, he's gone. We're good. Dust is dust. Ash to ash. Lyrics on my body.
The shit has already been aired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's totally cool. I think that's a respectable route. What lyrics did you get?
Because you're mine. I walk the line. They're on my feet.
Oh, that's awesome. On your feet. That's a great place to get them.
Yes.
I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery tattooed on my arm.
I do kind of love that, though.
I fucking love that song. And I actually love this tattoo. When I said I don't like all my tattoos, I was kind of full of shit because...
It should be somewhere where you can see it, though. Like,
well, that's the thing. I don't want anyone to talk to me about my fucking tattoos. I just realized that, that's annoying. Someone's like, "What's your tattoo say?" I'm like, it was covered for a reason, I don't know.
yeah. I mean,
It says, "Until my shirt's off, it's none of your damn business." Sorry, you saw the bottom of it.
Right. Well, I'll one up you there because I have stocking seams tattooed up the backs of my legs with big bows on them.
And someone like, "Hey, can I see the top of those?"
Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
All the time. Yeah. I thought that was just like some dumb
Not all the
pervy
time,
thing someone says.
Yeah. No, it gets.
How often are you like seeing right through it, and then how often are you like, "Oh yeah, of course. Let me show you the back of it."
I always know that it's a thing, but sometimes the situation is right and they get to see them. It's fine.
That's cool. Well, yeah, like you said, you do pinup or like the competitions. So that's like, you're like, oh, of course, this is why they're here, to see them, right?
Yeah. I mean,
that's the appropriate setting for it.
That particular tattoo, I used a gift certificate that I won in a pinup competition to get that tattoo.
Full circle.
So yeah, it's like this is my pinup tattoo. Like I earned it through pinupage.
So do you like rockabilly music and do you like psychobilly?
Yeah, I do.
Fuck. See,
I love all that shit.
I love psychobilly.
For the longest time, like that was the kind of band I wanted to have.
That's awesome.
Like
I had no idea. I was watching the Tennessee music video and I was like getting those vibes and I was like, damn, love that song, by the way. I love Tennessee.
Thank you. We could
cool music video and stuff.
About it if you
want.
It has trains in it.
Yeah, there was a train that I think I recognize that fucking museum. But when I say I love Tennessee, I mean that was the only other state that I visited for any long period of time other than California. So I liked it.
Yeah, I had a good time there.
Nice.
Witness the song.
But so I love psychobilly music.
Yeah,
and it's like it might be a guilty pleasure just in the sense that so many people make fun of it now, and like rockabilly culture is like parodied on for like younger people, like people younger than me. They're like already like jumping the gun, like talking shit about it.
I don't know anything about that because like
you're spared.
For a long time, it was my deal. You know, like when I found that scene, I was like, oh my God, there's like super fierce ladies who I don't have the physique to be a punk chick.
What does that mean?
There's that like skinny boyish aesthetic, like you wear oversized stuff and skinny pants, like the vibe like doesn't work for me. Like obviously there's other stuff, but like the classic iconic like punk chick look. That's just not how I'm built. So like when I met rockabilly ladies for the first time, I was like, here's a scene where you're like allowed to be as big as you actually are, and curves are
a plus.
Plus
size is plus.
Yeah, and you're like super feminine, but also really fierce. Like there's a lot of things about it that really, really resonated with me.
And you have John Waters festivals to go to the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool.
The thing about like rockabilly and psychobilly is that it's a little too constricting for me. Like
creatively,
I used to want to.
I have to write another song about a fucking werewolf. Are you kidding me?
Well, I don't have any, so there's still that. I mean,
I'm just gonna bring up psychobilly references because I listen to zero rockabilly. It's all psychobilly. That's what I mean. I'm sorry.
Well, my stage name is Angie Nightmare because
that's great.
Necromantics, Technicolor Nightmares. That's okay.
That's why. You know what? And I didn't get into Necromantics. To me, they were too new. That was like too current. Okay. I like Demented Argo, Batmobile, the Meteors, that kind of shit.
Have you seen the Meteors live?
I've never seen any psychobilly live ever, band ever in my life.
Most of it is so much better live.
I'm not surprised. I don't think Demented Argo is better live.
Well, yeah. There's like a everybody dressed to the nines, but also getting really sweaty aspect to a psychobilly show that I really love. Yeah. Like the rockabilly thing, there can be a little bit too much of a stick up people's butts. Like people get dressed and then they like don't move.
Oh, is that you? Here, push that thing in. Oh. Why does that one do that? Here, let me stop this real quick. There we go. Oh, geez, that looks crazy on my recording. I don't know what these things are called.
The noise of the thing.
Yeah, it was like
the graphy thing. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the graphy thing, exactly.
Graphy thing.
What's the people have a stick up their butt about what with Rockabilly?
Rockabilly. Oh, you just like everybody's like so put together, and like the scene is the scene, and we don't talk to those psychobilly people, like that kind of thing.
Really?
Oh, there was definitely like
a split.
when the scene was big enough, there was definitely like a little bit of an antagonism. Like
That's funny.
Rockabilly people are purists.
Yeah. Well, and like psychobilly has such a punk influence that there's no way that there wasn't some sort of ironic purism in idealism in psychobilly as well. They just didn't realize it. I bet those wires weren't crossing.
Oh yeah.
Because punk is has completely gone 180 to where it's never allowed. You're never allowed to be anything but exactly what they stand for.
Are you a Dwarves fan?
Yeah, I've listened to some Dwarves. Yeah.
So there's a song called Massacre on the last album. I really got into them, but it's like a hip hop track. And
okay.
It's a hip hop
Nice.
track about how punk rock is dead.
That's
from
cool.
the Dwarves. It's great.
Wow.
It's great.
Okay. Cool. I love when people tell me about songs and I get to check them out after the show. I want to start cataloging all the books, movies, and songs that people bring up in the podcast, because it's something to give the listeners a direct, like a little glossary to check things out.
This is the links in the doobly-doo.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I'm going to write that down. Dwarves. Let's say that's how it's spelled. Massacre. All right.
Dastardly rhymes get blown.
There we go. Okay. Cool.
Anyway.
So I'm getting a
They
playlist
make
going over here.
Fun of Queens of the Stone Age, I think. It's
Good.
all kinds of fun stuff.
Anyway, I like Queens of the Stone Age because I feel like they can make fun of themselves. So someone making fun of Queens of the Stone Age is nice and meta. I appreciate that.
Good times. Yeah. Where are we going to go from here?
Where are we
going to
go?
From that.
That's okay.
We're talking about songwriting and stuff.
I have to use the restroom again.
Okay.
I have the tiniest bladder in the world, I think.
I think we could have a competition between you and Aaron, my guitarist.
All right, we'll be right back, guys. Okay, and now we're back.
Woot!
So yeah, here, let me ask you some questions here, because I know you have a fucking album to promote and release and a band and all this good stuff.
It's my goal to make at least 1 point on this podcast.
So your band is Angie and the Nightmares, and you have a new album called
Girl Talk. And it is available for pre-order now. I will get you the link. But it will release on August 28th.
August 28th. Cool. And the pre-order, you could get a digital album for $7, and then you have that really cool
it's like it's a thing.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a fucking Nightlight artist book.
Yeah.
Look at
I have
they
it.
have one. Wow.
I can make noises on mic with it.
Nice.
It's like a little kind of tea light pillow fort.
And I mean, it's so fucking cool to like actually have something to give the consumer too.
Yeah.
Because everything's just so digital and just so like easy to consume and just. Wow, there you go.
Visual artist as well, packaging person. So like making a thing is important to me, but we're also like not going to put out vinyl like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of not our jam right now. We don't have the budget for it. So it's a little thing.
I don't know anyone who listens to vinyl that isn't a complete asshole.
I mean, I do, and they aren't complete assholes. But
I know. I'm just.
They have a
kidding.
Brand, you know.
Yeah.
If you're into vinyl or you aren't. I would be a vinyl person, but I don't have the budget for it.
Yeah, I know people who spend. Wow, that's so cool. Cool little frickin'.
It's like a tiny music festival, or like for
That's awesome.
for
take a picture
for introverts, of course. And then it's like
switch it around, sweetheart.
Yeah, it's like is it like a thing for stoned introverts to find at parties when they're like, what the hell am I doing here?
Oh, this is so cool.
So yeah, you.
Beautiful. I love that little angle I got. Not to brag, everyone. Hold on, I'm taking a pic, folks. Just
it photographs really well. I'm not to brag on my end, but
yeah, it really does. That's so true. All right.
There you go. So yeah, it's a little thing. So you can get it as a thing if you like tangible things, or you can get it as a download if you're like, I have way too much stuff. Oh my god, I just did the quarantine declutter.
Oh, I know. I'm moving, so I have to declutter everything. I moved so much shit off this desk and off that chair and off this chair. This is the cleanest my room's been all year, and it's still cluttered.
Congratulations. I like Mary Kondo'd the crap out of my house.
That's cool. I have a real difficult time reading subtitles and not going to sleep. So I was like, you're going to have to take a back seat before I get into cocaine, Marie Kondo, because I can't focus.
Bunch of really great synopsis videos you can find on YouTube.
That sounds disgusting. That sounds like someone's ruining her by making it American and in English.
You can also get
like
her
dubbed.
book in audiobook form and then just listen to it while you're doing crap.
I might do that. I love audiobooks.
Me too.
Yeah. What are you listening to one right now?
Ooh, I'm listening to like 5 right now. I love detective stuff. Like anything mystery genre is totally my jam.
I don't know if I've ever read anything mystery book-wise.
Well, I could give you a reading list if you'd like. There's like the hard-boiled detective, like Maltese Falcon style stuff, which is great.
Yeah.
It translates really weirdly into audiobook form because it's all
the same person.
Really sparely written.
Oh.
And so it's super short,
easy to consume
because
though.
there's like lots of like quick botanage and stuff.
That's what word did you just say? Botanage. I've never heard that.
Playful banter back and
It's
forth.
called botanage. I took
Botanage.
film class and they never said shit botanage.
Botanage. I think that we could look it up. But
she was a hack.
It's
That's
like
why.
the back and forthness of it. So that tends to make those types of books really short, which is kind of sucks audio wise. Like Lord of the Rings is where it's at. It's like
I know. I have the
15 hours
entire Sherlock Holmes collection. It's, I think, 5 days long. And then every Stephen King book is like 16, 17 hours long. That's great.
The a lot of Dean Koontz stuff makes really good audiobooks. Like one of my absolute favorite audiobooks that I like go back to and re-listen all the time is Life Expectancy.
That's by Dean Koontz?
Yeah.
Does he have like a lot of like fantastical stuff in his work? I've never read anything by Dean.
Yeah, I know that he's got some more straight up horror stuff, but that's kind of not my deal.
Well, I just steer away from fantasy stuff because I literally cannot have any suspension of disbelief.
So he does like the Neil Gaiman, Terry Pratchett thing where it's like mythological realism, I would consider.
Okay.
So like, yes, sci-fi or fantasy stuff happens.
Okay.
But like in the books that I like Life Expectancy is about this guy that gets a psychic prediction that he's going to have 5 terrible days in his life.
Weird.
And then it like unfolds the story about what happens on all that.
That sounds nice and accessible though. Okay.
Well, and the thing that I like about the books that I like from him, like the Odd Thomas series and Life Expectancy, have this great feature in that the narrator has a really specific voice, and they're like first person narrated. And like the character in Life Expectancy is a baker, and he uses lots of food metaphors.
Oh, that's funny.
And then like Odd Thomas has got like his own kind of like deal.
That Odd Thomas is a Dean Koontz story.
Yeah, and
I love that movie.
It's a book series. There's like multiples. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Shit.
I mean, the movie is imperfect like all movies, but if you like the movie, you'll love the books.
Okay. I just like Anton Yelchin, so
there you go.
Rest in peace, buddy. This is the longest I've spoken to someone in almost a month. This feels great.
Cool.
Not on my throat, but it feels great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just decided we were gonna have 2 practices next week, and I'm like, fuck. I'm
Like
gonna have to
2?
like good vocal control. Fuck.
You know, athletes do what's called 2-a-days. I don't know if you've ever been into sports or done anything like that.
I haven't. Like, I wish I had been when I was younger, and I just never was.
I don't know anyone. I don't think I've ever met anyone who hasn't said that they wish they had done sports. Everyone's like, I wish I would have done that, but I thought they were, this or that, jocks. I didn't fit in. I was weird. I was in the offbeat crowd. I, didn't want to be associated with that. Everyone I've met at some point, it's like, I wish I did something athletic. I wish I did a sport. I wish. And I was like, fuck. it is so important. I wish that everyone could have an outlet for
I
it.
mean, I was a dancer, so
That's
kind of
something.
the same deal. But like, I wasn't competitive enough when I was younger to like be into sports, and I didn't understand like the good things about a team dynamic. I think when I was younger,
and and also I grew up in a strange area when like the whole participation trophy thing started. So I didn't even understand the value of competition because it wasn't really emphasized.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, no, you participate and it's fun and it's cool. And I was like, well, that sucks because I don't even get. Turns out competition's normal and healthy, and it's how people kind of level up themselves.
yeah.
And I had no idea how competitive I was. I'm looking at these don't look at those.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just for show. I bought those medals. I didn't win
You
those.
got them on eBay. Yeah.
No one. Yeah, those are eBay medals. Sorry. Maybe I did do sports actually. Whoops. That was late. That came way later. I was already a fucking fully grown asshole. So.
Yeah. But yeah. Where were we going with that?
I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, cool.
I don't care. I mean,
Beautiful.
I mean, I do care because I want you to say your piece, and I want to.
Oh, we were talking about my album.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's get back on track with that. So,
cool. Good times.
you said before the show began, you said there was some feminist vibes to this album, and I could have surmised that because it's called Girl Talk, and fucking it's 2020.
It's kind of the through line for all of the songs, as they all kind of deal with. So I'm in a nice, stable, long-term relationship, and so what the fuck do you write songs about when you're in a nice, stable, long-term
Things
relationship?
are dandy. Here's my song about Randy.
Right. So it's like, so when I started writing the songs that all became this album, I was like starting to think about like, okay, what else can I talk about? Like, what else can I do? And I was, I started, like, I revisited one of the songs I wrote when I was a teenager that I hadn't finished.
Cool.
And so I was like, where did this come from? And that put me, so Turnaround, which is one of the singles from the album, has a little music video out right now on my YouTubes. But that song I started writing like 15 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I just heard something recently. Comedians talking about revisiting old jokes, not throwing them away, and then finding out that no one heard that joke that I fucking threw away on a TV show that never aired.
Yeah,
I could totally
times
turn this into a great long bit.
like, yeah, I'd started writing it, and then something about it didn't work. So, like, what about it didn't work? And because, I
Just wasn't ready.
didn't have a subject matter to write about what was going on now, I'm like, okay, let's go back to that thing, and kind of see if I can make like a better version. And the distance from it allows you to be more critical of it. Be like, well, that worked.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
You've gained so much perspective since then.
Yeah, like both on the situation that I was talking about and the emotional headspace that I was in when I was writing.
Do you want to go into
thing.
detail about what this song is about?
So this song is about driving out to the end of I Street and making out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I Street.
Like Megalito
going
Canyon,
south. Oh,
like
okay,
all the
okay,
way
yeah,
down,
yeah, yeah.
the
Gotcha.
makeout spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's also about, like when you first start to form intimate relationships with people that like could be romantic, could be not romantic. They just kind of like, there's that, like,
I'm pretty sure this was my favorite of the singles that I listened to last night.
like the first time that you like stay up all night talking to someone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like that's like it's a big deal. You're
Big
like,
deal.
oh my god, we're vibing this whole thing.
Never got to do that
And
before.
so-
Yeah.
And so that's like, in retrospect, that's what that song is about, and it took me looking back on it from the point of view of being an adult to know that that's what that song is about.
Okay.
And so, and it's also about like singing in the dark to someone who's like sitting next to me, which will always be my favorite form of musical performance, which puts undue weight
When
on
it's dark
the person
or the
that I'm
person
singing
in the
to.
passenger seat.
Yeah, like whoever. Like I'm like a one-on-one connection is something that's really difficult to achieve musically, and so that's kind of
Is that the one with the lyrics that said the best audience is the one right here,
Yeah.
my passenger seat,
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah.
That was my
Yeah.
favorite song that I had listened to.
So I was working on that song, and I started to think about my teenage sexuality a little bit, and
Yeah.
like what it was like as a teenager and what I cared about. Like there's an urgency to your sexuality when you're a teenager, and there's an urgency to songwriting that kind of comes with that like angstiness. And I was like trying to revisit that a little bit. I'm like, how did I feel? Like, why was it so important to get stuff out immediately? Like, and that I needed to say this shit. And so I started thinking about that, and that whole time period when I wrote that song, I would go to Morning Glory Music all the time.
Oh,
and
that's where I got my first CD.
Yeah. And I'd go in and pester the guys that worked there and be like, hi, I'm looking for a song that makes me feel like this.
Oh, that's
and
adorable.
And then they would send me all this, send me home with all kinds of albums and stuff. And so I started to think about that, and that kind of segued into writing Nightlight, which is one of the other songs on the album. And it's about, like, on the feminist level, it's about teenage female sexuality and how it's like culturally different than male male teenage sexuality, and
what do you mean, like it's different? Do you mean like in a negative way? Or are you acknowledging the fact that
no,
they are different experiences, so they're going to be different regardless?
They are different experiences. They are going to be different regardless. But I think there's a little bit of a boys will be boys attitude towards the way guys are. And so like...
guys just want to get laid. Women are like...
Girls just want to get laid too.
Yeah.
So...
But people in society will give a perspective of like, you're going to break this girl's heart. But she's like, I kind of just want to suck your dick.
Like, yeah, like the
I also just want to do that.
There's this preciousness surrounding it. Like if you're... So like... there's a different sort of pressure, like you're supposed to be responsible about it in a different way.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that song is about that, and it's also about like mistakes that you can make, and like having really because I'm a very responsible person, and because I was shy when I was younger and very kind of like, I'm gonna keep this part of myself for myself, there was a lot of like pent upness to that.
Yeah.
So there's a part about like writing fan fiction is in that.
Cool.
Yeah. And stuff
right
like
on.
that. So it's like it talks about like having a crush on the record store guys and writing fan fiction, and then
if a guy wrote a song about that,
doing
it'd be
shit,
a creep.
maybe doing shit that you like, you know, maybe regretted a little bit later.
Oh, always.
You know? And
always.
so that's what that song is about. And it's just kind of like,
I like the sound
and like,
of
let's
it.
talk about this stuff.
Was that one of the singles?
It's not.
Okay,
on that.
I was like, okay, because I don't think
It's not out yet.
I was gonna
I can send it to
hate
you.
to have said.
You can- no, you can listen to
I'll
it.
pre-order
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah. It's like 90s punk rock style too.
Okay, cool.
It's like our pop punk anthem.
Nice. All right.
So anyway, that kind of like exploring that and really like going back into those teenage feelings and writing about them, and as an adult, like that felt like a kind of a feminist act. Even though
was it cathartic to get that out?
It was fun. Then there's also some stuff about like wanting to be rescued by Han Solo or some other like chaotic good kind of guy, you know, like Nathan Fillion is gonna come rescue my ass, man. And like that is kind of a fucked up expectation that you have about how your romantic life is gonna look, like whether you're a woman or a man.
Yeah.
There's like this,
but this is your perspective,
fairy tale aesthetic of it. It's like there's the rom-com thing, and it's just like it's not how it works.
No, I don't know. How many manic pixie dream girls did guys fucking invest their mental health into, and they turned out just to be a toxic bitch?
And then
and vice versa.
You know, you're like me, and from an exterior perspective, you look like a manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah.
But then, like, you don't want to be that
associated with that.
Yeah, you're like, well, that's not me, but it's the
all.
closest thing to me that I can see in a movie.
That's funny. I wonder if what archetype I fell into growing up, because I try to be very individual, reject a lot of like
and
titles and
is
norms.
Its own archetype.
Exactly. So maybe there's I wonder what kind of fucking Remy. Stop that. Hey, he likes to chew on himself when we're recording.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think about archetypes a lot. Like it's what my visual art tends to be about. Like I love like art that has to do with like depicting saints and like canons of depiction. Like these are the rules by which you depict this particular character, and I'm interested in the way that sort of functions in modern society and how it's like present but not present, like
how people ignore its value,
and that like
when you say it's not present.
Recording artists have a brand and like a visual aesthetic and that kind of thing, and like that whole thing is super interesting to me, and like how you choose to present yourself and everything. So like I don't know how I came across when I was younger, because I'm like, I'm just me, fuck it. But I'm sure that meant that I did fall into a type, but I don't know what it was. Yeah.
I mean, it was probably just, and who knows, it could just be a very typical exercise in rebelliousness that a lot of people have to get out of their system, and that a lot of people, you know, all over the world will culturally have different versions of, and that was just our like localized American version, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
I always try to understand why things were so misunderstood when I was younger, why I felt misunderstood and feel like, well, what was actually going on? Because I feel like there's a lot of excuses made. I feel like there's a lot of procrastinating. I feel like there was a lot of things that kind of subverted me identifying something that could have been really helpful, something that could have been really like good to acknowledge. So I try to be self-aware. That's why I like the podcast. I try to be like calling out myself and my own bullshit, because I'm like,
yeah,
I didn't when I should have.
There's
when
a
I was
whole
younger.
like, nobody understands me. Well, are you making an effort to communicate yourself well?
Yeah, it's like, am I the toxic one? Am I fucking this up? Is that why I'm, alien? Am I the one doing the alienating? Because if I think about it, I've made friends with anyone all over, from jocks to gangsters to everything. Like I didn't necessarily discriminate. I always had the value of comedy, of being like the funny one, the class clown, or being kind of relatable, self-aware with people. And it always dialed back to like, but no, I'm not actually like that. I'm actually this deep, misunderstood, weirdo, angry asshole artist. And
like, oh,
and
so...
I think if I go outdoors anywhere in this town, I'll run into someone I know, and I'm like, they have a completely different perception of me. Why was I being such a stubborn fuckface?
Yeah, I definitely probably like think of myself as a much more like lonely and isolated person than I actually am, which is one of the great
came over here.
Things of I've left my house for the
congrats
first time in a week. I had a thread, and then it
that's okay.
Went again.
That's
you
fine.
had asked me about Legends off mic.
I did.
Legends?
I had just I would like to know, that was the song on the If I Fall album that came out in 2018. I was wondering if there was any significance to that song. I didn't read the lyrics or anything, but it was the one that I had heard and really kind of stuck out the most.
So was
it because it was the catchiest one? What was going on there?
It is probably, I consider that to be one of my strongest songs. Just sort of like that's a decent one. But there's a couple of things going on in that song. Like a lot of I went to art school, and there's lots of levels to my shit sometimes. So on one level, that song is about how I come from a family of like storytellers and people who do a certain amount of like self-mythologizing.
That's cool.
So like my family, we all went to see Big Fish when it first came out in the theaters, and it was right after both of my grandpas had died. They both died in the same year, and we saw that movie, and we were just sitting there bawling in the theater like afterwards. But that whole kind of thing where like people tell stories about stuff that's happened in their life that makes them like larger than life, and you know there's a certain amount of embroidery there, and no one cares because it's this like beautiful narrative.
I always say to people, I will never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
And I'm getting over that now. Like I used to be super attached to what I'm like, what I was like, whether the story was actually true. Like if I'm telling it, like I'm writing a song about my house fire right now, and I just realized that like there was a part of it that was really clunky, and I was like, no, I could just say that instead of that. No, it's not strictly true, but it's like emotionally true, and it's a cleaner narrative. But Legends is sort of about that, and it also it follows like an Americana sort of traditional storytelling. Like I love the Willie Nelson, Patsy Cline, Johnny Cash, like family narrative kind of genre, like where family is an okay thing to talk about in your music, which is kind of a country and independent hip hop thing, really. There's like not a lot of other genres that really do that well.
That's true. That's so weird. I don't know a single punk song about family except Ramones' "We're a Happy Family." Don't fight. I don't want to fight tonight.
And I mean, I feel like there's songs about rebelling against your family, but there's not and families are complex and your relationships with them evolve over time. So like this specific song kind of addresses that, and so it's like a bunch of little stories about like different things that happen to different members of my family. So each verse is its own little thing. So my grandma had a near-death experience, and she will like, she was in a car accident, she hit her head, and she like saw the light, went to heaven, met all her relatives, that whole thing. And so who knows if this was a head injury thing or whatever, but it's something that anybody who spent any amount of time with her has heard. Yeah. Okay. And so that's how the song starts. Grandma went to heaven in a red Mustang is the first line of that song. And then it talks about how how she will tell you about it, like, and how that's part of the nature of our family. And then there's a verse about my brother who had a spinal cord injury and is kind of locally famous / infamous, and like that whole kind of like adventure / horrible experience, but also how it was kind of being self-mythologized at the time that it was happening.
Yeah, like locally infamous. How? What happened? What? Can you give me a brief rundown?
He's very charming. He used to work at the coffee shop. Okay. And then he jumped off the big Red Rock, and broke his neck. Todd is my brother. I don't know if you know him. Okay.
I don't.
Yeah. So it was funny.
I'm kind of new to this area. Okay. I've only lived here about 8 years. Okay. And I don't.
So it's been 10 years since that. But what happened was like, it used to be I played music in town and stuff, and people knew who I was, and then my brother would come to shows and stuff, and he'd be like, he was my brother. And then I went away to college, and I came back, and like they're like, oh, you're Todd's sister.
Yeah, that's funny. It changed.
I like took my because he's maybe more like you, where like social things are really his strength, like that kind of thing. But he's also a little bit of a charming asshole, and so like he's got a reputation for that.
Wow. So sounds a lot like someone I am very self-aware of. Yeah,
he also kind of looks like you, which I think people would. Yeah,
Angelina, I'm your brother.
Yeah.
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 I'm sorry, I'm gonna pull the mask off. Yeah, you're in this home. Yeah, you're in my home.
This would be a different conversation about this song, but let's see.
And then what was the next verse about after your brother's verse?
So there's one about my grandma, her accident. That's like all kind of like incidents and accidents.
I can't wait to go back and listen to this song with that kind of background knowledge. Like
incidents and accidents.
This is the shit I love.
So the first one. Okay, well,
music.
Welcome to my music, because this is the kind of shit that I do.
Nice.
And I can talk about it for way too long. Like I don't feel like anyone wants to listen.
I'll stop you. It's fine.
Cool. Beautiful. Podcast host. But yeah, so my grandma, my brother, and then there's one that's just kind of like a general catch-all one. So it's about like accidents and injuries. Yeah. And then the song Tennessee came out of a trip that I took by myself, like right after my brother's accident. There was a point where he just had his accident, and he was about to go into a different hospital and do a bunch of physical therapy and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm bugging out for a minute. And I bugged out for a week and went to Tennessee, to New Orleans, and just like had a time.
Nice.
And then every song I've ever written since, like all of the country storytelling songs, they all stem from that one adventure.
So
it's like
fun,
I had an adventure.
That's such a rich like it's such a fountain.
So that particular, like, then there's like a little nod to like, oh yeah, and I've been in there and I've done some shit, but I'm not going to talk about it here.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of the next verse. But the the chorus to that song was like a lot.
We're talking about Tennessee now.
No,
Legends.
still.
Okay.
Yeah, I could too dense. You're gonna have to edit me.
No, sorry.
Like,
This is
no
explicit.
edits. We don't do it, man. So like, I was somewhere getting into some shit, and someone was with me, and I texted them later, like after I got home. I was like, hey, so how did that go down? And the text that I received back was, we are legends but no one knows our names. And I was like, yes. And
that's
that's
cool.
where that song came from.
Man.
Like that was the seed of that song.
I hate that you're not telling me the story behind that, because that sounds really interesting.
I tell it to you off mic.
That's fine. I'll hold it to you. I have to write it down, because I don't know how often you listen to podcasts, but
just go off mic now. I'll tell you.
You know what? No, it's fine.
Okay.
No, I can wait. I like it. God, I mean, if there's another bathroom break going, fucking hold on. I cannot write and talk at the same time. Anyways, but I don't know if you listen to podcasts and you hear about them saying, "Oh, we'll talk after. We'll talk off mic." In my head, I'm like, they better be writing it down, because I know they're gonna forget. And then I like get anxiety about them not talking about the thing afterwards. Annoys the shit out of me. I don't know if that.
Did they ever follow up on that thing?
Yeah.
They have an idea for a TV show?
Yeah. Oh, man. We'll talk. That Rogan does that a lot. He'll be like, "Oh, we'll talk after," and I'm like, if you guys didn't, and this doesn't come to fruition, I'm gonna go back to this episode. I'm gonna be really mad. I'm gonna send you the time code on your Instagram comments that I know you don't read, and I'm gonna bitch.
Yeah.
But where'd you guys record the album?
It was a twofold process.
What does that mean?
Because like half of the album was songs that I worked on with Anna Cole, my prior bandmate, and then half of the song.
You kick her out? You were like, "I'm sick of you. You're out."
No, she
Okay.
needed to handle her shit,
Right
and was like, "I've got some stuff to do in my life. Peace." And I was like, I completely get it. Yeah.
Cool.
So, but yeah, we played together for like 8 or 9 years. So
yeah,
she put in her time.
The first time I saw you guys, I think it was at Naughty Oak in San Ynez.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I was
that
like,
was
holy
a
shit.
dead show.
That was,
super
I was
dead
there.
Weird show.
Yeah,
yes.
it was a super dead weird show. But yeah. I remember that.
But so a couple of the songs, like some of them mellower songs, Anna and I went into Certain Sparks and recorded drums, bass, vocals for. And then we wanted to do some more session work, and that's not something that Randall's really interested in right now. So we went over to Atascadero and recorded with John Bartel from the Creston line.
Okay.
And he and I have a very similar, like, our goals about what music should sound like are very similar. So like he writes really gritty kind of grungy Americana, I would say. Cool. Like he calls his music twang pollution, because somebody like gave him a diss one time and then he owned it.
I
so
like it. That's
he
how
writes really
heavy metal
like
happened.
gritty acoustic music that has a pretty like serious story, and there's lots of like family imagery and stuff.
Okay.
His songs all tend to be like about really gnarly like death and suicide and stuff.
Oh,
he just put out a little EP called Hell that he wrote in
I love
quarantine.
all the sounds of this, and I want to hear
Yes.
more about it.
Yeah.
But I know I'm gonna get lost in the weeds trying to talk about it.
Yeah.
Go back to record what you're.
Yes.
How
so
you guys recorded it.
I recorded with him in his studio. He's got a little studio in his lovely shed in the back of his in his back 40 there. So we went in and cut all the vocals, and we added a lot of stuff. And because my songs are super narrative driven, and a lot of times I write them like in the car while I'm driving, and then I will suddenly discover that they're all the same song.
That sucks. I do that with jokes sometimes.
We do stuff here. You're like, that was the same. Oh, it's the same structure. I'm using the
formula.
Yeah. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't work. Like part of why you listen to the people that you listen to is because their stuff sounds similar, but you don't want it to be exactly the same. So we went in and kind of pulled different things out. It's like, how can we make this sound different from that? So we got to work with an amazing saxophone player, Laura Fox.
Cool.
She's like Slow County famous saxophone player. She's so good. And I was so excited. But then we also added a little bit of like keyboards and stuff, and we added some banjo and things to just kind of like make
Nice.
different tracks sound
Fills
different.
it in.
But one of the coolest things about recording with John is that he and I have very similar ideas about like how we wanted my voice to sound. Being like a chick musician,
Yeah.
there's a certain like temptation to make my stuff sound a little too pretty.
Okay.
And so the rawness
Yeah.
of the vocals was really important to us. So that's kind of how we mixed.
I was gonna ask you because it didn't sound like you said, like too pretty, but it really sounded really cool, and I really liked the sound of the vocals, and it wasn't what I was expecting.
And there was a little bit where we, that's pretty intentional, like that we wanted it to be both, like it's important that the album sounds spontaneous, like it's actually like there's some mistakes in there, and there's some tempo variations and some stuff that just sort of naturally happens, and we liked
very country
that
sounding.
immediacy. That kind of like we wanted it to sound like just a bunch of dudes getting together and playing in a room, that was kind of the vibe. And so also when I mix and produce things, I'm interested in that like, oh brother, where art thou sort of sound, where it's there's the person in the front, like the mix expresses a sense of space of like everyone standing with one microphone.
That's so weird.
So
now that
the
you say
vocal is
that.
in front, and then the backing vocals are behind that, and then the guitar and bass are there, and then the drums are pulled way back.
I can totally hear it now that I'm thinking about it.
So having that kind of spatial aesthetic to what we're doing is like that's important to me. Like that's a nerd thing.
That's so funny that I'm becoming self-aware of how different music sounds and where I believe the musicians are in
And that's
performing
completely fake.
That's okay. That's
But
still part of the listening
thinking about
experience.
it is part of there's a gal who does contemporary country kind of old-timey music, Elin Jewell.
Okay.
And every time I go to record, I like send one of her albums to my producer. I'm like, this, like, she's my ultimate.
Nice.
If I could sound like
influence.
her, I would be. No, but like sonically, like I would count people as influences who sound completely different than me.
Okay, so what would you count her at? What is she? Her
She's
influence,
like an
so to speak.
emulator. Like I
Understood.
like her aesthetic.
Gotcha.
Like sound wise, it's like this is the sound quality that we're going for.
Gotcha.
It's like if you send example pictures to someone before you do a project, like she's that for me. The way her stuff is mixed and the quality of the musicianship on all of her stuff is just.
That's great. I liked the vocals so much. It was immediately, I was like, oh, okay, this is so much cooler, because when there's like a really feminine, overly girly kind of sound I have to be in the mood for that. It doesn't hit off a whole lot of like, oh, I'm relating to this. Oh, I know where they're going. It gave it this new kind of accessibility, at least for my end, for my fucking clunky dude ass, where I was like, hey, I like this.
And it allows me to have more than one tone. Like,
because you can go back to a more feminine vocal.
Right. And so things like of the singles that I know you got to listen to, like Girl Talk has a much prettier sort of vocal aesthetic. And then like Talking is a little bit more attitude-y. And then like there's a song called Hot Mess, which is like a super growly blues song. And that has like those vocals are a little bit messy in a way that I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
And so that was something that that was very deliberate. It was the specific decision that we made to make this kind of sound happen, and to not pull any like to not pretty it up a little bit, to just to make it be real. Yeah.
You can't have high fructose corn syrup in your creative process. It's just too like.
But yeah, that was something that's distinctly different from the last album, which I feel is a little more like girl vocal sounding.
Okay, cool.
Also, because a lot of the stuff on the last album sounds really cute. Like the subject matter is kind of cute. Like it's ironic and subversive in its own like the stories are about. But there's definitely a little bit of a like a self-reflexive, oh, I made a swear kind of quality
That's funny.
that I
Okay.
sometimes have,
Yeah.
which I enjoy. I like leaning into that.
Do you think having some gentlemen in the band kind of drove a more different tone with the?
No, I would specifically like the thing about having the guys in the band is that they're different people and that they have a different skill set, like
Cool.
different strengths than Anna does. And so I would say it's not the fact that they're men that makes it sound different. It's the fact that they
That's just like a symptom of the thing.
they
the whole
came
thing. It
into
wasn't
they came into a pre-existing project, and so I was able to say, okay, this is where we are, this is where I want to go. And as opposed to like Anna and I's band, which like neither of us, like we didn't have a project at that point, so it was like how is this going to sound, and we sort of like figured it out ourselves. So the process of the new lineup is both a little bit more and a little bit less collaborative than what I used to do. So like we're all pretty clear that it's my band and we're telling my stories, like that's kind of a given, and that allows me to be a little bit more like to take a leadership role and have that be a little more clear. But that also means that I get to do things like delegate, and I get to do things like ask for specific feedback and then just listen to them. And that, like, band dynamics is kind of like dating multiple people at the same time. It's like a multi-person relationship thing. Yeah. So it's like it's somewhere between family and roommates. That's kind of.
Okay.
And
I've never been in a band, so this is all new to me.
Yeah,
for you to say.
so
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like family and roommates. It's like being in a romantic relationship, and that you end up in situations with these people that like are not going to all be good. Like the van
There's going to
will
be some hiccups.
the van will break down, and then how does everyone in the van react to that situation? And so like some people like become the sitcom dad, and some people go into their shell, and some people like get on the phone and start like making shit happen. And
That's funny.
you kind of need to know who that person,
what role they fulfill.
Yeah, and be respectful of everyone and their emotions. Like music making is a really personal and emotional thing, but it's also kind of a business, and you kind of have a product at the end. So it's like, how do I have this business relationship with people that I'm not paying, but I'm kind of their boss? And there's this whole
That's an interesting
weird
dynamic, because it's like we
dynamic
have
about
to
it.
do work, but that the work is going to show is what will show for our work, so to speak. You know,
Right, so
it's
it's
not
like-
always the financial gain or some monetary aspect.
In all creative collaborations, because I do a lot of different stuff with people and I don't have the opportunity to pay them in the way that I wish I could.
yeah.
You know, I wish I was independently wealthy and could just have super well-funded projects. But the thing that I can contribute to any kind of collaboration that I have with someone is I'm super organized. I have really good boundaries around what is my job and what is not my job. So it's like, I need you to do this thing, but these are the specific parameters of the thing that I'm asking you to do. Like, can you show up from 7 to 9 p.m. and do sound? I have the PA. I need you to run sound.
Okay.
Like, and so like making clear boundaries around the ask and stuff like that is something that I learned from being in a management role in retail, that I was like,
Cool.
oh, that skill.
Isn't that
I can
so
apply that
annoying,
to
though?
other
You
parts
have
of
to
my
admit
life.
that the normal thing makes the fun things possible.
Yes. Well,
Isn't that so?
one of the biggest revelations to me is recently is that project management is a job title. Like, I work in a graphic design firm, like a publicity firm, and there is a person whose job it is to keep the rest of us fucks organized.
Yeah.
And that's like legitimately a job.
It's my mom's job.
And that
It's
happens to be
gnarly.
something that I'm really good at. And I didn't realize that it was a skill set until recently.
Really?
I'm like, oh, so I'm just managing this. Like, and that's my deal.
You're band project manager.
I'm band project manager.
Well, and if you think about bands as projects, you can just call it project manager.
Yeah. So I'm project manager.
That's so cool.
And I'm project manager of the band itself, but I'm also project manager of this album release, and I've got a checklist of stuff to do, and I can't do it all myself. Like, I literally can't do it all myself.
What are these guys' names?
So I have to figure. Oh, this would be Mr. Aaron France, who plays guitar and sings backup vocals. He used to play bass in a heavy metal context. That was his deal.
Cool.
But then he got into Americana, and he plays guitar and sings with us primarily.
All right.
He's Nightmare 1.
Nice.
And then Nightmare 2 is Sean Campbell, he plays drums with us most of the time, but he's a multi-instrumentalist.
Okay.
He did a lot of the songwriting and sort of musical direction for Dead Zed's Chopper, who's like the other rockabilly band in town.
I might have seen them.
Yeah.
I've
They've
never
had
heard the name.
a bunch of
countless
different
times.
incarnations with a couple of different singers and stuff. But he was the original primary songwriter of that project and played drums with them. And when Anna decided she was going to leave, I was like, who plays rockabilly drums?
See that little handsome
Sean
fella
plays.
with he's tall, young. How old is he? Sean? How old is Sean?
Sean is in his early 40s.
Okay. I'm thinking of the other rockabilly band and maybe the guy's son in that band. So excuse me. The upright bass player's son is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
So never mind.
Of Philip. Philip just became an adult, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
damn.
There you go.
I feel super creepy now. Known you since you were a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're great. But Sean hadn't been playing for a while, and he joined the band. And he brings a lot of stuff. Like, he's the guy that arranges my background vocals, which is super awesome. Like, we have a song that's an older song, but we just have a like ba ba da ba da ba ooh kind of background vocals going on for stuff. It's With You from the first album. Like, now it has like splashy Richie Valens vocals in it. I'm very,
okay,
very
I gotta
excited.
go back and listen to that. Cool.
Well, it doesn't on the album.
It's not on there?
No, it's well.
It is on there?
It doesn't have the vocals.
Doesn't have what you're talking about?
Yeah.
All right, just
That
fucking
thing,
forget
that's
it.
an
I guess I need to
add-on.
go back and listen to
It's an
you when I'm
add-on.
conversing.
No, it's all right.
All right.
I don't even listen to me.
Who did the album artwork?
Me.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, I don't even know why I had to ask that.
No, it's
all
okay.
the clues are right there. Context clues.
Context clues.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
I love artwork.
So yeah, the other thing that I do is I'm a block printer. So I basically carve giant stamps that have tons and tons of detail in them.
That's
and
cool.
then I print them.
What a trip. So you like make a lot of stickers or something? You ever make stickers?
I
Is that a
do
part?
make stickers. But I went to college for book art, which is the book as a form of fine art. So it's like you do everything. At the time, like when I got into it, it was because I was writing lyrics and playing music, and I took those little stories and I translated them into little book projects. So I would illustrate lyrics or
that's cool.
build something on one of my own stories. And so that's my background. That's what I went to school for. I don't make a ton of books anymore. Like, occasionally I'll make one if I want to collaborate with someone.
I mean, you obviously made the little insert, like the
Right.
inserts for the.
So I'm
release.
like,
That's really cool.
I'm keeping that alive by every time we put out a piece of music, like trying to make sure that.
Do you feel like it's necessary to keep it alive? Because like I recently have completely stopped drawing, like having any sort of illustrative outlet, and part of me is okay with that. But then there's part of me that's like, don't let it die.
No, the like
art.
don't let it die thing is super important to me. Like, because I went to art school and like that's my jam.
So that's some emphasis on it. Got it. Okay.
But also, ultimately I would want that to be my day job.
Cool.
But I'm concentrating on music right now because there isn't a shelf life on women in art the same way there is for women in the music industry.
What do you mean?
Like,
I mean, what do you mean by that? I feel like I'm not.
Like, younger voices are more important in music no matter what, but specifically if you're a woman.
Yeah.
Like the old woman music aesthetic is not really a thing that happens.
I get it. I
very
can't name an
often.
old woman musician off the top of my head.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So
I mean, it's not funny. It's quite
it's frustrating.
Frustrating. Yeah,
And
there you
there's
go.
like this
Dang.
guys get old and like
Tom Waitsy.
be gritty. Yeah. And so like I would love to get to be able to do that. And maybe by the time I'm Tom Waits' age, the industry will have changed enough that I can do that.
Yeah.
But there's also like
that's so
touring is a young person's thing. And if I'm ever going to do it, like I don't want to sleep on floors when I'm 50. So I got to kind of do this shit now.
Wow. You know what? I never thought about that. I feel almost compelled to try to like create some sort of exposure or space for that older woman musician to have that kind of.
The fun things about rockabilly specifically is that age. Wow, specifically. And I brought it up, and now it's going to be on the recording, and everyone's going to hear it.
Loser.
Didn't mention it. Meta self-reflection. It's my jam, man. But rockabilly, because it's such a specific genre, is kind of ageless. There's a bunch of older rockabilly musicians, like even ladies, and that's super cool.
That is cool.
Like people can get old in the scene there, but it's also kind of not my scene anymore. So I don't know.
It's good to grow.
Yeah. Yes, there was
growth is
part of me that like
natural.
I wanted to have like the horror pops. You know, there like the cute version of the necromantics.
That's a great way to put it.
They like Patricia from the Horror Pops was like why I started a band.
That's
cool. I'm a lady upright bass player. And I want to be kick ass like that, you know.
Fuck yeah.
But like at the end of the day, now that I could actually have a band that sounded like that, like I have the band leader skills to make that happen. Like I don't want my band to sound like that anymore. We're kind of off on a weird.
Do you feel that you always get what you want in the end, just never when you want it? Like, do you feel like life is kind of like that? I feel like that often. I feel like that all the time. I feel like I wanted these toys growing up, and now that I'm an adult, I can have whatever action figure I want, and I can't fucking care less.
Yeah, I definitely think things come to you like when you're ready for them, or like when you have the tools to deal with them in a way that like that is frustrating.
I need the instant gratification, man. Like if I don't get something when I want it, by the time I get it and I'm over it, I'm sick of it. I don't want it. I'm over it. Why didn't you come to me when I wanted you? You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like if I'm in a store and I have something in my hand and I don't get to go buy it soon enough, I'm like, I don't even fucking want it anymore, and I'll like set it down. I'll get rid of it. That's kind of like I try to work that philosophy out of my fucking life, but it happens all the time still.
Yeah, but there's also like there's a part of me that wanted to make rockabilly and psychobilly music. You know, like, I want one of those bands. And then like now I have the musical tools and communication skills. I have the people that have the skill set to potentially make that kind of music, and now we're off on kind of like a weird bluesy 90s alternative sort of kick. Part of that was a shift from I switched between playing upright primarily and playing electric bass, so the songs that I write and perform on electric bass are different than the ones that I
also must be nicer
upright.
To carry an electric bass around.
It is nice. I do miss being able to drink heavily while I was playing, which is a thing about being an upright bass player that you never realize, because it burns a lot of calories.
So you're just in and out with it.
It's like essentially, it's like climbing stairs and singing simultaneously for several hours at a time when you're an upright bass player.
But I mean, now you're consuming less beer calories, less alcohol. That's probably way healthier for you.
But when I played upright, there wasn't ever a point where my alcohol consumption would get ahead of me and I couldn't remember the lyrics to any of my songs.
Oh, but now?
Yeah, like when I first made the transition to playing electric, I had to realize that I was not expending as much.
Dude, I love those little fucking differences and things like, when you're like, oh, I can't do this anymore.
And that's one of the things about being a band leader too. Yeah. Like there's always someone in the band who's like, alcohol consumption needs to be monitored. Like, this is not anyone specific or anything. It's just kind of a thing. You just like have to make sure that people are loose, but not too loose.
Yeah.
And like there are people who are allowed to get stoned before they play, but not allowed to drink, or else their sense of timing will get completely fucked off. Like just all like, and there's like, and everyone like has different like pre-stage anxiety levels and like different things, and like you have to figure out how to like navigate those things as a
Oh my god,
group.
it's a fucking whole it's like a whole agenda you gotta make all the checklists off of.
Why I envy singer-songwriters and comedians to a certain extent, because it's like you're responsible for yourself and your stuff.
Here's the thing,
but then you're responsible for yourself and your stuff.
You know it. You knew it.
Yeah.
You know where I was going with that. Fucking, you have no one else to blame but yourself. That's horrible. I mean, I could blame it on, I was being heckled. Oh, I wrote my notes too small. That's my fault. Or maybe the guy before me bombed and the energy was weird. Maybe it's all kinds of fucking little dumb things that get you're. At the end of the day, I think it is just like, it wasn't good. You have to move past it. But like with a band, it's like, I mean, yeah, you fucking fucked that note up a little bit, but we still recovered, and at least we have another song we can fall back on that everyone's gonna enjoy, and maybe
and there's a appreciation that people have for like when something goes wrong at a gig, and then you like acknowledge it and move on. And I think it's like I've never performed comedy, so I wouldn't know, but I feel like it's a little bit different with a band dynamic. But then again, the thing that I'm completely jealous of comedians or spoken word artists, people that are it's just them with the microphone, like I am sometimes resentful that the whole musical production distracts from the storytelling, which is really at the end of the day why I'm there.
Yeah, I was gonna say
then I'm also not responsible for making it funny. Like some of my songs are funny, but they don't have to only be funny. Like funny music and like humorous songwriting is its whole own.
It means the world to me though when someone can write a song and like tip their hat to the one listening to the lyrics, because I can't understand lyrics, so I really like to look them up, and I have to see what the story's about, and then once I find like, I know that this part of the song's funny.
I did the heavy lifting and I put lyrics on the Bandcamp. So
yes, thank you so much. I know I looked at a bunch of them.
I am in the process of adding closed captions to all of my YouTube videos, so you can just turn on the closed captions.
That's if I'm honestly, I typically will not watch a music video. I think it completely changes the ingestion of a song. I think I have favorite songs that I've watched the music videos to ruin the fucking song.
Yeah,
ruined it. Obviously, like in a music video culture, like when MTV and VH1 played music videos a lot, those videos are very important to those songs, especially when they're popular. But I don't need to know what the music video to Sonic Youth's Tunic is. That's gonna ruin it for me.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of like music that has really terrible quality music videos. I'm just like, I cannot watch this. This is not okay.
I'll still watch your music videos. I wasn't trying to bash you. Fucking music videos.
But the thing about music videos right now, and what has made them a big focus for us, is we don't have live performances. So, and it seems a little weird to just be like, here, listen to my shit. Like, it just feels like I'm like sending it out into the world with no context.
Yeah.
So part of, and I'm here talking to you so that we can have a little bit of context for stuff to maybe let some people in to what I'm talking about and why. Like, why the heck would you want to listen to my story? And like, that's a big deal for me. And so like, I'm always trying to make things more relatable. Like, they are my story from my viewpoint or whatever, but there's also like anytime I can make something more universal, I will. And anytime I can make something like, because
more accessible.
Yeah, people need to understand what I'm talking about to care about it. Like, why the fuck would anyone care about it?
Well, it's nice to have that extra layer.
Yeah, and sometimes there's a little bit of a, I know we're talking about me, like self-reflexiveness to that, which is a little bit defensive, but it's also just going to tell a story that I tell on all of the podcasts, so I'm not going to tell it.
Hey.
Listen to my other podcasts.
I was going to say go for it, but that's fine. They can listen to your other podcasts.
Not that I have so many other podcasts.
If you have a plural amount in this small area, that's good enough. I don't have two podcast appearances. I have my show and the Chris's show. Nice. Are we okay? Which I hope comes back.
Is it coming back? Oh.
I said I hope comes back. I don't think there's any fucking chance of it coming back right now.
No. I was like, he's moved on.
Yeah. He's moved on to better things. I don't know what, but...
You won't know until it's finished. It's Chris.
Absolutely. What do you like to do for fun?
Because all of my hobbies are such like pro
People
level.
oriented?
No.
Oh,
like,
pro? Oh, I'm sorry. I totally cut you off.
Yeah, because like everything that I do that most people would consider to be a hobby, like I would put above the level of hobby. Like I'm very serious.
You think you're better than people.
I'm very
is that what you're saying?
No. I just I don't do shit by half measures.
Listen,
so,
that's fine. What do you like to do for fun?
What do I like to do for fun? Right now I am crocheting.
Cool.
And watching a lot of like trash television. Like I like things that are episodic and predictable, so they could just sort of like be on in the background and you're just hanging out with the characters.
I like that too. I like that too. Yeah, that's totally, I get that. But what do you mean? Do you mean like you watch TLC shows? You watching like old sitcoms? What do you watch?
I've probably watched every episode of NCIS more than any human being.
Oh yeah, that trash TV. You were not kidding. Yeah, straight up.
Yeah. Like, and
I can't do it. I can't watch that show because it's so like there's no cussing, there's no titties, there's no real nudity. I need some stuff that actually happens in, you know, it's like I grew up in such a fucking household of like everyone smoked, drank, did some kind of drug. We all cussed. It was this motherfucker in my alley. Are you kidding? I can't watch TV where they're like, oh, we don't say bad words and we only wink, you know, little hat tip nod to things that are like actually fucking happening. I'm like, no,
Bewitched
that's not real. I mean, that's not true because I love that 70s show, but I'm still like bitter. I'm like, they never showed the weed, you know, that's like, annoying. And then, but Bewitched, and you know what? I'm lying to you. No, I did not watch. I do not like Bewitched. I was thinking Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I'm not even with you, sister.
It's a different deal.
Yeah,
it's a different deal. Like there is television that I enjoy as art, and that's totally different. Like I loved Altered Carbon, like that's totally my jam.
I was just watching some Philip K. Dick movie last night. I'm trying to get into Altered Carbon. I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, well, it's like that's good, but that's like real TV. There's only like a little bit of that I can do, and then there's like a bunch of shitty stuff. So I'm watching all of the terrible incarnations of Stargate right now.
Oh man,
like all that, shitty sci-fi stuff. It's terrible, and I
want to get into sci-fi, but
it's terrible.
It's the same thing with fantasy, where it's like I cannot have a suspension of disbelief. No one talks like that. That's stupid. Or like I'll have all these thoughts of like, no, that's not. Like it has to meet my like fucking gritty Sin City style mentality.
But
you know,
no one talks like that or has that. Like it's its own aesthetic.
It's
just
absolutely
one that works for you.
Well, there's some shows that are like genuinely have a realism to them, and they like really deliver some closer to home
like
kind of.
Judd Apatow stuff is always good for that. Like where they take someone's actual story and then sell it for a thing.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's got one story, and Judd Apatow's going to find it.
I haven't seen King of Staten Island yet.
I haven't either.
Okay.
I was really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it because my hero's in it. So,
as a
Pete Davidson, I'm just kidding.
as a like podcast nerd, The Big Sick was a huge deal for me.
I never watched it, but there's so
Well,
much talk about.
Were
go
you
ahead,
a
go ahead.
Nerdist podcast person?
Never
Okay.
listened. That's when I
So-
heard what podcast were. My friend Zach James listening to the Nerdist, and I was like, "That sounds ridiculous. I'm gonna go outside now." I was like, "You're
Nerdist
listening to that?"
is a good first podcast if you're like, I don't know what podcasts are about. I'm gonna listen to this.
Ah.
And I mean, I have kind of a bias because I think I listened to like 900 episodes of the Nerdist within a year. So it's kind of
It's so I totally get it. I
jam.
listened to
yeah. Yeah.
so many. I've never missed a Bill Burr Monday morning podcast in 5 years, and I've been listening to Rogan's podcast since he was in like the 600s or 700s, and he's in like almost the 1600s.
But
it's a lot.
Before you watch The Big Sick,
Yeah.
listen to Emily Gordon's couple episodes of the Nerdist podcast and listen to at least one of Camille Nanjiani's.
Yeah. I always say Nan and Johnny. I fuck his last name up
Yeah.
like a dumb American all the time.
But like that,
Emily Gordon, that's what he said.
yeah, like Camille's great and all, but Emily is like a superhero. She's fucking awesome.
And now he's a superhero. Did you see his fucking abs, dude? He got a.
I know.
So a lot of the macho podcasts I listen to, they all talk about how celebrities get in shape for movie roles, and they're all like, "Oh, that's great. You got the personal trainer, you got the diet, and you're doing those," but no one talks about the steroids. No one acknowledges it. You cannot get those bodies without steroids, and no one talks about it. It's like some fucking big goddamn stigma to it, and it's like, just say you did the steroids and give people like the real like, oh, that's how you did it, and it's
So,
good for
there's
them
a
to know.
similar thing.
Captain America is steroids.
Okay.
Literally.
I really don't know anything about it, but I
Okay.
will say I can't speak to. There's a similar thing in like anytime Victoria's Secret models or anything like that.
Okay.
Like when they're talking, when people are talking about their skin specifically, they're like, "Oh yeah, you just drink water," and like no one mentions that they all get a $200 facial every week. Like,
Yeah.
like that.
Probably get IV drips, give them nice
Yeah,
and perfect.
or you know, all of the stuff. It's like I understand it's their job to be pretty, and they're investing in that, but there's a level of them getting in an interview and sitting down and not talking about like the fact that how you look that way is you throw money at it and you throw time at it.
Yeah. But they'll go, the thing is like these actors will go into great detail. You'll have, Men's Health Magazine, what workout and diet did he follow? And then no one mentions the testosterone, the human growth hormone, trenbolone. They don't mention, maybe a little bit of Anavar. None of these fucking steroids, none of this shit that everyone fucking has to take or eventually take to get those bodies. And it pisses me off because here I am. I used to have this like workout like from a magazine torn out and like on my wall. And I was like, I'm going to get this body. Did not come close. Because there was no mention of the fucking steroids they were taking. And I was like, oh, fuck, I could have just been doing the dumb fucking thing that, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm just
And
bitter.
the
I'm
lady
just bitter.
side of
I'm
it
just
too, like the like
women also take steroids. It's called Anavar.
but also the until I got into pinup, I didn't realize how much of like women's bodies on the red carpet is stuff like shapewear, undergarments, like things that are squeezing you and pulling you and pushing you up and moving you around. It's like that's the celebrity advantage, is that they have like $500 worth of underwear on under what they're wearing.
I know,
And you're
bums
never
me
gonna
out.
look like that if you have a Walmart dress with no underwears.
Come on, Rim. You want to go out? I know when he's trying to get out. He's being friendly, I promise, but he wanted to.
Oh yeah. Dog agenda.
Talk agenda.
But yeah, so yeah, there's the stuff that people don't talk about. And that's
I'm just so interested in those things because those are the secrets, and I've always been such a I like laying everything out on the table. I like to be very fucking transparent with
that's,
things.
Like that's part of my deal as a songwriter, bringing it back, is like I like to talk about shit that maybe you're not supposed to talk about, and it's fun to put that in the vehicle of a song and be able to talk about it, because then like I don't have to confront people to talk about it. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. And then like I don't know if this happens with comedy or stuff. It's like something happens that you don't want to talk about, and then like all of a sudden you have a really good joke about it, really good song about it. Like I had a song that I was like, oh, I really don't want to, but is there? It's sometimes creative projects take on like a life of their own. Like sometimes songs, you start them and then they just sort of gain momentum, and it's like yeah, I wrote it, but I don't really feel completely responsible for it. Like it just kind of like appeared. There's like a to B thing, like oh, that so it happened. And so I'm like, crap, like now this is the good song about a thing that I'm like
don't want people to really know about,
but I'm like, here we go, I'm gonna talk about it.
It's totally true, dude. One of the first set I ever did, I closed the story with like one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened to me, and it was like, fuck, I never told that to anyone, and then one day I was telling it to a group of friends, and it was like I was doing my first stand-up set, and it killed. Everyone in the fucking garage was dying laughing. I was like,
and there's a certain engagement with confessional stuff, like if you're talking about something that like doesn't get talked about a lot, particularly like if people do know you, like what, I didn't know that
like, that's
that
interesting
story
adds some layers,
like, oh, or like I don't know, so there's something about that. Also I think for me, if something bothers me, it's going to be more fruitful from a songwriting perspective, like that,
because
like
it's under your skin, man. Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
that's so true.
So I'm like, this is a thing that I don't know if I can know how to talk about. And it's gonna be a song. It's gonna be 2 songs.
That's fun.
Yeah,
that's cool though. It's easy with songs though, because it definitely provides like a layer of like accessibility. You can consume it so much easier, because sometimes even people's comedy, they're ruining it with their own personal affectations and their personality and their delivery, and maybe you don't like their outfit, and maybe you don't like white male comedians because they've been too much. You know what I mean?
That, like the music is that in the same. It is,
but
way.
It's so much easier to be like, oh, cool, this isn't the hip hop I don't like, or this isn't the punk rock I don't like, this is more along the stuff I do like, so I can now listen to these lyrics in those songs.
Yeah.
Like, you really have to be like kind of open-minded about it.
No, and
I'm not trying to make rules here.
There's definitely a point where like I didn't go see Damian Marley one time because I was on a I don't listen to reggae kick.
That's
and I kick
hilarious.
myself every day for not fucking going to see Damian Marley, because it would have been a hell of a show.
Yeah, I've done shit like that before.
But
missed
I
out
also
on cool experiences.
Like went to UCSB when there's no scene except for like we all wear flip-flops to the bar white guy reggae scene, and it was just not my deal.
I can't believe that was a real thing. I hear about that all the time. How old are you? No, you don't mind me
I'm 35.
asking. 35. Wow, you look great for 35. I had no idea you were 35.
Skincare.
Yeah, it's this $200 facials, huh? I had no fucking idea that was a thing. The like white reggae flip flop, like what the fuck? And then, well, I mean, I guess there's so much. There's bands around here locally that are like big reggae bands. They're a bunch of white dudes, right? Yep. I had no idea. And, I'm not saying it has to be black reggae, but it just fucking.
And
I had no idea.
Collie Buds are great, but other than that, it's just like it's not my deal, man. But it was definitely.
So you're a reggae purist,
bro-y genre. I just don't. I just have very little. It's not my deal.
Dude, no, I totally get it. You think I fucking relate to the white dude playing reggae? It says nothing to me about my life.
Yeah, and like it's great live. Like there's a lot of music I love live that I just am not going to listen to. Like I love Zydeco and like all of that. It's
You don't even know what it is.
No, I know what it is. I just can't explain it. It's Cajun dance music, so it comes from the. It's fun. Yeah. It's fun. It has accordions in it. It's really high energy. It's kind of like bluegrass adjacent, but more.
Oh, okay.
More
I like bluegrass.
Fun. Yeah. Yeah. It's barn dancey. It's
But also like disgusting white trash Cajun people or what?
No, it's like
I'm sorry. If I don't make jokes for a certain
No,
amount
no,
of
no.
time, I
There's-
get
it's a
really
reflex.
annoyed and really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
So I need to like
no.
spit some at you. I'm sorry.
yeah. I'm just gonna that should just be excised. I didn't give Zydeco its due. But yeah,
I got you. No worries. I totally.
it's like where Caribbean music meets bluegrass.
Okay, now you're making it sound really interesting. I gotta fucking. How do you spell this? Zydeco with an X or a Z?
Z.
Z. Okay.
Zydeco. Yeah. But it's like super fun, high energy dance music. But
How about the rest of that word? You got more letters on that? Zydeco?
I don't. I'm a terrible speller. Like we can look it up.
Give me a
after the podcast.
Can I buy a vowel? God damn it! No, it's fine.
I
It's
don't
fine.
even
I'm
know.
totally. It's really not that important.
Yeah.
I just wrote it down. Phonetics, fine with me.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I used to get mad at people the way they'd spell things wrong, and I was like, if you can spell it phonetically and it's the right word and it's not changing the function, or it's like close to the right word, it's not changing the function of the sentence, just fucking spell it wrong. I don't care.
I am a terrible speller, so
I'm
can't cast.
a really good spell. I don't know if speller is the word. I say spell.
Congrats.
That's how fucking
You're a good spell.
sanctimonious I am.
I
about
appreciate it.
All right.
It was me failing to do Zydeco justice.
That's totally okay. I'm pretty sure they're not going to listen to this, so don't worry about it. But I will send them a tweet, probably. You can email if they're.
Zydeco, the genre.
Is that a genre?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a band.
No. It's a genre.
Oh, I don't give a fuck about the genre. I thought it was a cool band I could listen to. I have to go.
No.
I do. I don't not give a fuck about
I
the genre. I'm
couldn't
not trying to
name
be
a
rude.
Zydeco.
Never mind.
I
Jesus
couldn't
Christ.
name a Zydeco artist, but in the same way that like
What point did I not realize? I bet there's people screaming at me like, "You fucking idiot! You didn't know it was a genre the whole time."
it's
Some good
it's
listeners
its
out
own
there.
thing. There's only so many people that are into like stompy old school Americana genres.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
This will be easier to find now, honestly, because
Yeah.
it is a genre. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a Wikipedia related page for it
Yeah.
if I just look up Americana.
Yeah. Anyway.
What books are you reading right now? You said you're in the middle of a couple audiobooks. Did we go over that? I didn't know if you told me the audiobooks.
I think I went off on a things I like tangent. I'm not really.
Yeah, I mean, this really is just like a glorified show and tell. We just get to talk to each other about the things we
Yeah.
like, and then I get to, make fun of.
I mean,
One
yeah.
another for it.
I'm not really listening to anything worth talking about right now.
All right. Well, maybe you should not listen to.
It's kind of like the trash TV. It's like there's got to be something. That's like,
You approached me about coming on this podcast, huh?
I did.
That's so great. You're one of the few people that have done it and have done so successfully, and like it was not like cool. You were cool about it. Some people are like, "Hey, man," and I'm like, "No, man."
Well,
So
like
I just wanted to say I appreciated your approach, and I'm happy to be
you.
sitting here talking to you,
Thank
and
you.
I'm really excited to be promoting.
I
The
feel like
Girl
I was
Talk
a little
album.
bit too like immediately palsy with you in my text. I was like, I'm gonna talk some shit.
No, it's totally fine. If someone's too clinical with me, like I honestly was going to apologize for the fact that there was so much back and forth logistically about where we were going to record. Because I was like, I don't know if
all plans
Angelina's going to be like.
come with an asterisk right now because it's a global pandemic and you kind of never know what's going to happen.
My biggest fear
So-
is like, is she going to be so fucking weird I can't record a podcast with her because we're going to have to be 6 feet apart, but she's still reaching out to me to have some promotion. I was like, great. I was being a baby. I was being a little butthole about it.
No, we're gonna. I couldn't do it over Zoom, or I would have.
I've never done that. It just originally my engineer was like, well, you ever thought about doing like video? Zoom wasn't even popular back then. This was back when they used the other one. I don't even remember what it's called. It's gone the way of MySpace now. Facebook and Zoom have fucking overshadowed it. But he had said like, oh, why don't you do podcast over video? And I was like, it's just so disingenuous. You don't get the tone of the conversation. You're not getting like the connection, and that's what the art of conversation is about.
Yeah.
Because the idea of a conversation, the world, like the place in it. Let me fucking stop tripping over my own words here. There's only one place where this kind of conversation dynamic happens, and it's with the microphones, the headphones that are recording the imaginary audience that will eventually be listening to it. And the video provides a slightly different version of that, and that's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I want to do.
I completely understand. And I actually sat down and did like a songwriters on songwriters style interview with Jacob Cole, who like we've been playing music together and not together for almost our entire lives.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, let's sit down and shoot a video.
Yeah.
So we did. That'll be out on my YouTube channel at some point in the not too distant future.
What's the name of the YouTube channel?
It is Ms. Angie Nightmare.
Miss Angie Nightmare. Beautiful.
Yes.
All right. Is that MISS or MS?
It's MS.
Cool. I don't really know the difference. I had to specify. I wanted all my listeners to get the right YouTube page.
Yep.
All right. Any closing thoughts, arguments, questions?
No, I don't think I successfully made a point, but it's cool.
Well, oh yeah. Well, make your point. You got a point to make. What is you successfully make your point here?
No,
what
I
happened?
didn't pick one. No.
No?
There's
Nothing?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I talked about something.
I'm sure you talked about something. Anyways, this has been a real joy and pleasure to have you on my podcast. I'm happy to have someone in the area, creative, and just have more people on before I move out of the area. So that's means a lot to me. So I appreciate it.
To find new people to talk to.
I know that's going to be the worst.
But you have an in. You'd be like, I have a podcast.
I know that's true. Well, you know what's kind of interesting? I love skateboarding. Been skateboarding for a long time. The place I'm moving, there's a lot of pro skaters that go to the skate park. And I've thought of literally taking this little fucking cocksucky Zoom recorder and just going up there like, hey, so I heard that you're not on Ultimate Clothing anymore. Like, what? Any words on new clothing sponsor? You know, just being like a little fucking dumb podcast reporter, little like skate journalist for it.
I feel like having a specific topic that you ask like on a given, like for given episodes would probably be a really good way to like deal with that.
That's great.
Again, like me being project manager person, I'm like, let's give some parameters around this.
That's a very good professional.
Because then you could talk to the same people multiple times and potentially develop a rapport with them.
That's so cool. That's so
But
true.
also,
that's so cool.
You're like, hey, I'm out here today talking to people about X thing. Yeah. And then they know whether or not they want to talk to you based on like what specifically you said you were talking about.
That's so true. Like,
I feel like that would be a good way to make the initial approach and negotiation easier.
Damn, this is really valuable information. I'm glad you said that, because I was literally high last night thinking about all the questions I'd ask all these random pros that I would inevitably see at this place.
So pick one question per outing.
Or at least a series that are.
Yeah. There's a gal.
This seems so obvious now that you're saying it, but the most obvious things are sometimes never.
And that's why explaining your idea to people is like such a weirdly valuable thing.
Yeah, it's validating, and I was so afraid of expressing myself with people like my family or loved ones or friends, because I was afraid of the judgment, the discouragement, the lack of interest, all of these things. And I realized, like, if I really care for something, I'm not going to let any of those truly infect it. And what I need to do is let the conversation be had and put it out into the universe.
Yeah, that's one of the like huge takeaways from art school. Like, no one actually needs to go to art school, except that it teaches you how to be better about making a separation between yourself and your work, and learning to just talk about shit, take input in a way that like to have good boundaries around criticism. It's like, this is like, people are just throwing ideas out, and they don't have anything to do with you. Like, my suggestion doesn't have anything to do with like you or even your potential in product. I'm not attached to you using my idea or not using my idea, but there is that little like it until you get more comfortable talking about what you're doing with people, you don't have the opportunity for the like growth aspect of collaboration. It's kind of dorky.
No, it's not dorky. I love dorky things. I mean, I don't dismiss it like that. There's a lot of merit in what you said, and I'm glad you said it, because especially it's so validating. You get something out, and you put I live my life by this philosophy of just try it, because worst case scenario, you're back where you started without it.
One of the things that was most useful for me about going to work in graphic design like professionally rather than doing it like by myself as a freelancer is that you learn that like half of the work that you do never gets seen, and its function is to work out what doesn't work so that you can get to a good product at the
Very
end.
familiar with that. You gotta let the shit get out to get to
Yeah.
the like. I kind of fuck myself up with that with skateboarding because sometimes I won't do like the lesser tricks because I'm worried about a better trick or a cooler way to skate, and unfortunately that kind of hindered my progress early on, and I'm not as good as I should be for someone who's skating for 15 years.
Like, you should
And-
repetitively do the easy tricks.
Yeah,
and
so
then
that
they
way
give
I can
you-
build off of them.
Yeah.
And same thing with like hacky jokes. This is so like you gotta let the shitty jokes and let the shitty humor out. Like when I tell some dumb fucking that's what she said joke, like I need to get that out so I can get to the better, deeper conceptual fucking gender joke or something. You know what I mean? Like I need the fucking thing out. Like you just gotta let the garbage out. You gotta let the filler and fat out to get to like the nice lean muscle. It's important.
Yeah, that and the steroids.
And steroids is very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then that's a great metaphor for like the creative accessories to whatever craft you have. You know what I mean? Steroids help. They don't not work.
No,
They exist for a reason.
because of my arts background. I'm continuing to talk. You were wrapping up.
No.
Do we need to wrap
No.
up?
If you have
Cool.
something more to say, please.
I was
we
just
can go as
saying-
long as you want.
Cool. I was just gonna say that, because of my arts background, I often think of things in terms of technique and concept, and in art specifically, those are two different muscles. And if you think of your music or comedy in that same way, that you've got technique and concept, and both of those things need to be coming up at the same time, like that is. But it's like, so you're not having a good concept day.
Yeah.
That leaves you the option to work on technique. So it's like, okay, so you don't have any good new ideas right now. What's an old idea that you could maybe rewrite in a different structure? Or what happens if you move this
Punch it up.
song
Yeah.
to a different place in the set, or this joke to a different place in the set? Like, what if you have a different lead in? What if you have a different tagline? Like,
Love craft.
so craft. Yeah. And I grew up at arts and crafts fairs. My parents make ceramics for a living. So literally craft has been my entire fucking life.
I'm so envious.
But it also applies to other things. It makes you really weird, and craftspeople are like people who have failed to be people who reject societal expectations around work
Yeah.
become self-employed craftspeople. And they all come at it from
Comedians.
different ways. Comedians or, musical performers or Kanye West or
Yeah.
whatever, like.
He's a couple of those.
But it's so I grew up in that, and that was like normal, which makes it so that I had a really hard time feeling normal when I was younger, because I was homeschooled and I came from a family of craftspeople and I grew up on a farm, and it's like I had so many like
odd
barriers
outs, odd
for
ends,
being a
man.
normal person.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, fuck it gives me an advantage. I'm not a normal person.
Well, yeah. I think that there's that great saying, Hunter S. Thompson's, when the going gets weird, the weird go pro.
Yep.
And that's like what I try to model my fucking functions after. Like if something, like that's the technique I want to have.
Yeah.
That's where I want to have the technique.
And right now, for me, like the skill that I'm working on, the technique that I'm working on is, okay, I know how to make stuff. I know how to do what I want to do. I know how to communicate what I need to my collaborators.
Yeah.
Now, how do I publicize and fund this shit I want to make? Like that is the next step for me.
You need some technique there.
Some
huh?
technique. There is. And I mean, I have the advantage in that that's what I do for my day job, but that is why that's what I do for my day job.
Yeah.
Because I had identified, I gave myself a little time. I was like, okay, you have this amount of time to get your promotional hustle handled. And if you don't, then you need to just quit and find a day job that you would be happy with forever. And there's just no day job that I would be happy with forever.
Yeah, no.
So I got to get all the random skills that I have and get them to work together, and to apply marketing skills to that equation so that I can potentially just do what I do for a job.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's like I struggle with, do I feel like I'm doing the best version of what I could be making money with. Like there's so many different modern ways people make money being YouTubers or fucking TikTok, or they're having monetary success with these creative outlets that weren't afforded to people who I look up to that made their success the old way or different ways. So I feel like I'm being pulled into different directions.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like I could be on Twitch.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I fucking love when like those people lose their money and it's just like, ha ha, you fucker, you. There's some like bitter like asshole where I'm like, yes, TikTok's getting taken away. Your dumb dances and your money is
I'm
fucking.
Like, get your money so you can do your shit,
me
man.
Me too. I'm so pro people being their own investors.
I'm pro sellout in a very specific kind of way.
Yeah.
Like people gave Shepard Fairey a bunch of shit because he became Shepard Fairey. They're like, he's not an artist anymore. And you're like, he's got a fucking kid, you guys.
Yeah,
like, chill.
You're just some little annoying punk that has some fucking strange idea of credibility that is so arbitrary. I hate that.
And
I don't own any Shepard Fairey stuff though, sadly.
He makes a good t-shirt.
He makes a good t-shirt. I like he was wearing a Sex Pistols t-shirt one time that was so fucking cool. He obviously had printed himself, and it was just like, oh, I don't own enough cool t-shirts, and I went on this weird kick of like I need to have like the cooler.
So I work in an office with no dress code with graphic designers. So their t-shirt collections are like the highest of the high caliber. Like I thought my t-shirt collection was cool.
Name 3 cool t-shirts you've seen. Go.
One of the gals in the office is into like super like meta nerdy shirts.
Yeah.
So she's got one that's Finn from Adventure Time, but he's dressed up as all the different doctors for Doctor Who.
Of course, I knew Doctor Who was coming when you said that.
Yeah. And then she's got a couple of other great like nerd t-shirts that are like
I love the
meta
crossovers
on a graphic design level. They're like excellent. And then the other graphic designer is like, he has like very specific types of band t-shirts that he wears, and they're all excellent.
Ooh, like what kind of specific?
Like there's one that's black with a black graphic on it, and they're like different textures of black, and it's just so like the through line for those is that they're excellently designed and that they function well as t-shirts.
Okay,
like there's that. Oh, they're so good.
There's this
t-shirt game's strong.
There's this
in my office
artist, I'm sure you know, Butcher Billy.
No, actually.
He has all these like beautiful juxtapositions of pop culture icons, and like there's like a lot of like Marvel and like The Cure and like all these great mashups, and he has really vivid colors, kind of like pop art colors. It has great color grading. It's my favorite style.
Love and hate that kind of work because it's being done so much right now, and it's something that gets a ton of attention online. Like people will apply a genre label to a particular pop culture person, and then like reimagining Disney princesses as drag queens.
That kind of thing. I totally get it. I totally get it.
I love it. Like from a conceptual level, I love it, but it's also clickbaity, and it's the stuff that gets in the public attention because it has a recognizable, in the same way that like all the tentpole movies are based on other shit that it already has an incarnation. It's like, it's an easy sell because it's recognizable. And I love that from a creative level. Like a lot of what I do, both musically and visually, is apply the filter of like kind of an old school genre to what's happening in my actual life.
Well, and I'd be the first to reject that modern
no, so some people do it and they do it really, really well.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I will look them up. This is in the notes for the podcast.
Sincerely, like I mean, I would love it if you looked and you said, no, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is dumb. I'd be like, that's good. Now I can let it go.
I suspect it's not dumb.
But I just really love like the mashups and like the culture. Like, you know, he has fucking Clockwork Orange stuff all, you know, and like Mario, like it just like stuff just goes so well. And I'm like, I would have never even thought of like mixing these two fucking cool things. I don't know.
I had a extra meta like shopping cart full of t-shirts. It's like I can only get one of these t-shirts,
otherwise I'm an asshole.
Yeah, so like there's one where it's the Sonic Youth album cover, like
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
And then there's the Rick and Morty T-shirt.
Yeah.
That's that.
I just saw that somewhere.
Yeah.
Did you share a story of it or something?
No,
That's funny.
no.
Yeah.
So that I was like, oh, I might need that. And then there's
My favorite song of theirs is off that album, Tunic. Yeah.
do you Raymond Pettibon, the guy who did that album
Black
art,
Flag.
is
Yeah.
my hero.
Gotcha. He was a huge inspiration.
The anybody who can have like so many terrible cops and nuns in their artwork is totally
Seriously.
like and handle them like visually, and it's like he doesn't pull any punches.
Nope.
But it's also like visually appropriate to the subject matter at all times, which is so fabulous. But so there's that one,
Mm-hmm.
and then there is do you know who Magritte is? This Is Not a Pipe. He painted
This Is Not a Pipe. I
really
know. Why? I know that. What is that? What is that?
Realistic stuff. It's like a famous surrealist painting. Like he painted the picture of the guy whose face is the sky.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
So a lot of what his work was about was like having a picture of something with a label that didn't match.
Okay.
So there's one, it's a picture of a pipe, and it's in French, and it says, "This is not a pipe."
I've seen that. Yeah, I know exactly what
So
you're talking
there's a T-shirt that's the Death Star, but it's in the style of Magritte, and
This is not a moon?
it says "This is not a moon" in French, and I'm like, I want that
Isn't it
T-shirt so
dude,
hard.
God,
But it's also like,
you've got to be the biggest.
will it be
frickin'?
Will it be funny later? Like,
How
I owned a
badly-
Vote for Pedro T-shirt early on, and I
Exactly.
wish I still owned it because it would be funny again now. But there were so many years that it wasn't funny.
I'm writing in Pedro this November.
Yeah.
But fucking it's so difficult because like I love that shit, but I'm trying to like
And then there's
distance myself because I'm like, I'm mature, I've grown, I don't need to
Then there's
associate.
also a Ramones logo that says ramen. Ramens.
That's
And it has the
disgusting.
different
Get that
types
away
of
from my
ramens.
face.
It's so well
That is
done though.
Sacrilege.
beautiful.
I'm so sick of people disrespecting the Ramones like that.
The reason that it's funny for me is because I had a Ramones t-shirt that I wore for like 15 years until it fell apart.
I got the very same one.
Yeah. I think I actually stole mine from someone, ex-boyfriend, to begin with. So it was trashed to begin with. And then, it was killed. So the reason that t-shirt would be extra meta is because I wore that Ramones t-shirt for so long in my own life that I'm being like, it's a nod to like
So you're the
mythology of
biggest
myself.
freaking asshole ever.
I am.
That is oh god. How can you stand sitting there with yourself?
Yep. At least I'm aware of it.
No, yeah, I know. But that's why I'm saying I can get away with saying, "Oh,
Oh,
wow,
yeah.
you're a big goob for doing that."
No.
Look at Ren.
I
being
overthink
friendly.
all things.
Yeah, I mean,
including whether or not I should buy the Ramens t-shirt.
I the last time I bought a shirt with a graphic on it, it had to be something like slightly offensive and slightly like divisive.
Okay.
And I don't know why. It's just kind of how I am. But it had to be like cool looking. And now I don't. Now I'm only wearing golf clothes.
Okay. Is that because they're comfortable? Because you aspire towards golf?
I aspire towards golf. They are comfortable. And Bill Burr talked about the comfort of these.
Okay,
And he
okay.
would talk about getting these like track suits and like these golf clothes and how comfortable they were. And this was something he said years ago, and it's just been sticking with me. And then he was on this TV show called Crashing on HBO.
I am a huge Pete Holmes fan. So
I never got to watch the show because I've never had HBO, but
just get the HBO Go for 1 month and watch the whole
I've
thing.
already done it, and I already was watching something else. I fucking cucked myself on that one. So, and there's a Bill Burr episode when they're golfing, and he's talking about how look how fucking comfortable my clothes are. I can't even tell. Is my dick out? I have no idea, And it was just like, damn, those must be some really comfortable clothes. And then one day I was just like, oh, and it just this cascade of golf happened.
I think it's
I
funny
can't stop
because
talking
that's the
about it.
difference between like his brand and the Pete Holmes brand is that Pete Holmes does the same thing, but he's all about the Lululemon. So it's like,
That's so funny.
It's like, and it's so on brand for both of them to have that. Sorry.
No, I totally get it because I remember the Lululemon, because someone mentioned Lululemon on the Bill Burt podcast recently, and he was like, excellent, and I made the fucking full circle of like, oh yeah, the golf clothes. Lululemon
I also
clothes.
kind of wonder if it's something that you do to look less subversive, so that when you make a joke, it has a higher impact. In the same way that I dress up on stage and have my extra girly fierce stage persona, so that when I swear or say something really gnarly, it has more bite to it. Like a friend called me out at one point. He's like, you dress like that and wear pearls and then you say filthy, filthy shit. I'm like, yeah, that's my deal, man.
Well, it's so interesting because I've always been around you just at shows at the bar, whatever, and I know that's how I was like, that's the vibe I'm getting from you. I was like, I know this is a perfect shell because I'm doing the same thing. Like I'm oftentimes I dress like I have a manual labor job I don't actually have. I was always dressing like some sort of fucking dock worker, lumberjack, ugly motherfucker, and then
see Blue Collar Boys on the album.
Yeah. Well, and fucking, there's like some aesthetic to that, and I think it's just so fucking. I do want to kind of subvert like the expectation of you when you see someone in golf clothes, you don't expect them to say cunt a lot, and unless they're actually just being misogynistic when they're saying it. So, I just want to kind of fucking be able to. I used to not dress punk, but I'd have one button or one like safety pin somewhere, and it was just this perfect little affectation that kind of like threw a subtle monkey wrench into the whole fucking thing.
It's kind of funny because like as a rockabilly chick, like even if you aren't like in your full beat, you can spot the other gals.
I see the leopard tattoo across the fucking
or like
lot.
I see your like
polka dots somewhere.
I see polka dots, leopard, multiple leopards, but also like there's like bangs game or red lip or eyeliner, and
Vans.
You're wearing other things, you're like at work or whatever, and then you see that and you're like, that's the indicator. That's the thing.
I love the subtlety. I want to like create like just an individual, not like uniform, but just like something that I can mix and match the kind of different ways I want to express myself without it being overt. I don't want it to be explicit. I don't like that. Maybe I'll wear some shoes, but you can kind of tell they're skate shoes, but you kind of can't. Maybe, I'm wearing golf pants, but they're really cozy. Although it's so funny how often people straight up clock the golf pants or like the golf shirt. They're like, "Are you wearing fucking golf pants, dude?" I'm like, "Yeah." Are you going golfing? I didn't know. You haven't said anything. I'm like,
I had a huge like thrift store old man loud golf stuff phase. Like
that sounds so cool though. That's way cooler than me. I just look like a fucking slowly turning into like a frat boy over here.
Yeah, like I own an 80s loud plaid like rubber chicken comedian blazer.
But that's so cool because Stanhope has perfected the look and has it, and it's just like a nod to him. I love him. He's one of my heroes. I mean, I don't know how many Stanhope things are sitting around here, but there's some fucking coasters over there. There's something on my water bottle, if it wasn't obvious. The fucking...
But yeah.
What color is it? Red? You said plaid,
it's
though.
Plaid. No, it's pink, green, yellow, and navy blue.
Oh, that's so perfect.
It's beautiful.
I could imagine... And then a pink blouse or like a pink button-up shirt would be perfect with it.
I usually wear it with a small black check.
Oh, cool.
So that's the
double checks.
Plaid on plaid.
Bold move, Cotton.
And then when I bought it, my hair was the same color as the pink. So
okay.
It's a good look.
See, that's too much. I mean, obviously, I'm not a matcher. I don't do things in color schemes. Sorry, but
no, I'm a matcher. So.
I'm learning that I have no idea what color is.
My band has committed hard to this, but we all dress up when we play, and there's usually a color scheme. So there's like a text that goes around, like what colors are we wearing?
Nice.
And then
I like that.
It basically just means that the guys are wearing vests and button downs, and then whatever color tie I say I'm wearing.
What's been your favorite Kit?
Well, I got fat in quarantine, so there's only so much I can wear.
Hell yeah.
right now.
Cheers to that.
Some of my clothes are not looking so great. So there's a black and yellow dress that still looks pretty good. So we're on the black and yellow vibe. And the guys, I think when we do black and yellow, they tend to do like black shirts with black vests with yellow ties.
Okay.
Is kind of the vibe. Okay. I'm digging that. That'll probably be the album release show outfit.
Oh, okay. Spoiler alert. Sorry, folks. I mean, we'll see it on Zoom anyway.
You might change your mind.
Yeah. You might change your mind.
I have like a gold shiny over the top dress that I keep thinking about whether or not I'm going to wear. But
don't spoil it.
Feels
don't
like
spoil it.
Much.
These people. Well, maybe
it's
a little
much.
too much is a good thing.
Yeah, but I'm too much all the time anyway. So, but yeah. Anyway, there you go.
Angelina, thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Thank you for having me. I rambled on.
That's what I do. Ramble on. Angie and the Nightmares Girl Talk, available August 28th. Pre-order digital album, and Nightlight insert now.
Sounds good.
Sounds good?
Cheers.
Where the fuck are you?